Chu Xuan, observing the two articulate mushroomen, revealed a slight smile. Having set up the 100 Woods Nurturing Spirit Array and created a wood attribute spiritual item, he had begun searching for the so-called Big Brother, Second Brother, and Third Brother, reviewing maps of the surrounding provinces and analyzing the attack and retreat patterns of the mushroomen. He quickly surmised that they originated from the northern part of Hanhai province. Combining this with the fact that the Great Dream Marsh was renowned for its diverse fungal life, Chu Xuan deduced that their stronghold was likely located there. Navigating on his flying sword, his journey was uneventful save for a few overconfident birds that he effortlessly dispatched. Even if he was wrong and the Great Dream Marsh was not the mushroommen's main base, the trip wouldn't be a waste. The marsh was teeming with a variety of life forms, potentially housing formidable supernatural creatures. Upon reaching the outskirts of the Great Dream Marsh, Chu Xuan immediately noticed mushroomen lurking in dark corners, underwater, in dead tree trunks, and even underground. It became clear to him that this was indeed the mushroommen's stronghold, and his guess was confirmed. Kill! Inkcap growled, his voice sending ripples through the air. The once tranquil marsh erupted as countless mushroomen awakened from their hiding spots and surged towards Chu Xuan in a frenzy. Chu Xuan deployed the corpse nurturing tower, and the 3 corpse puppets transformed into streaks of black light, tearing through the mushroom ranks. Wherever they passed, mushroomen were thrown backward, chests caved in, heads burst open, or bodies torn in half. They stood no chance against his might. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that moment, Green Cap puffed up its body, releasing a cloud of green spores toward Chu Xuan. However, with a casual grasp, a gigantic claw materialized from thin air, clenching tightly around him. The cloud of green spores was instantly incinerated by the corpse refining blood fire, emitting high-pitched squeals as if numerous tiny lives were perishing in the flames. Green Cap, tightly gripped by the evil demon claw, made sounds as if it was under immense strain. Painful screams escaped its mouth. Inkcap watched in horror. Green Cap was nearly as strong as it was, yet it stood no chance at all against Chu Xuan's power. Immortal, we don't wish to be your enemies, Inkcap declared, his gaze fierce. But if you push us, we will fight with everything we have. Chu Xuan looked on with interest. Oh? Let's see what you've got. With a roar of kill, Inkcap suddenly unleashed a cloud of black spores from beneath its feet, shrouding itself completely. In a surprising turn, it fled. Chu Xuan, smart enough to know when to run. But escape was just wishful thinking in front of him. Go, Huikong, Chu Xuan said nonchalantly. Support the creativity of authors by visiting the original site for this novel and more. Whoosh! The evil soul chain shot through the air, snaking like a black python and instantly catching up to Inkcap from behind. A ferocious, bald-headed spirit burst forth from within the chain, Huikong, the battle monk from the Golden Dragon Temple. With a cackle, Huikong pounced, and Inkcap immediately felt as if a cold, malevolent beast was targeting it. Its speed slowed just enough for the evil soul chain to wrap it up tightly. Moments later, the chain dragged Inkcap back to Chu Xuan's side. Inkcap's eyes darted around, looking for a chance to release a spore cloud, but Chu Xuan swiftly slapped both Inkcap and Green Cap on their heads. The raging corpse refining blood fire burst forth, incinerating them into 2 piles of charred remains. No chances were given. Let's go home, Chu Xuan said, turning away. Pity we didn't catch the third one. We couldn't wrap this up in one go. Chu Xuan shook his head in mild regret, contemplating the one that got away. The marsh was quieter now, the immediate threat neutralized, but the air still hummed with the tension of unfinished business. As Panther Cap led his followers through the forests, a sense of urgency gripped him. Inkcap had warned him that the immortal was targeting them, and they needed to abandon all their engagements and return to the Great Dream Marsh immediately. The terrifying reputation of the immortal was something Panther Cap had been aware of for quite some time. The mushroom spores, their primary method of information gathering, had relayed countless pieces of intelligence and news back to them, including activities in East Lake City. The spores had reached East Lake City several times, carried by the wind, birds, and even zombies. These were their methods of dissemination. However, the mushroommen were surprised to find that East Lake City lacked suitable hosts for their parasitism. The human population was sparse, and there were no zombies to be found. Back then, the intelligence of the mushroommen was not very developed, and the 4 leaders, the Mushroom Brothers, were still naive in their understanding of the world. They instinctively avoided East Lake City due to these unfavorable conditions. As they assimilated more humans and supernatural beings, the intelligence of the Mushroom Brothers grew. Eventually, they realized that East Lake City was a forbidden zone, inhabited by an immortal. In the eyes of the immortal, all supernatural beings were mere insects, the only distinction being between those who were useless and those who were useful. Every powerful supernatural being that had risen in the southeastern provinces had met its end at the hands of the immortal. Even the ambitious zombie empress, who loved to expand her territory, dared not extend her reach into East Lake City. The immortal was known to operate out of East Lake City and its surroundings. Panther Cap could not understand why the immortal had suddenly turned his attention toward them. As he pondered and hastened his pace, a sudden chill gripped him as he saw a streak of sword light flash overhead, disappearing as quickly as it appeared, swift like lightning. That was the immortal's doing, he realized. It came from the direction of the Great Dream Marsh. Could it be that my brothers are dead? A great fear welled up inside Panther Cap. He immediately hid, thankful that the sword light was high above, and seemed in a hurry to return somewhere, not bothering with the ground situation. His presence went unnoticed. After waiting 10 minutes following the disappearance of the sword light, Panther Cap cautiously emerged from his hiding spot, his eyes filled with hatred as he looked in the direction the light had gone. I can't stay in the Great Dream Marsh any longer, I must leave this place. I'm the last one left, I must avenge my brothers, he resolved, clenching his teeth. Just then, he sensed something unusual. Whirling around, he spotted a tender green sprout not far off on the ground. The small grass, less than 30 centimeters tall, swayed in the wind like a green sprite, its vibrant green color starkly contrasting with the surrounding apocalyptic wasteland. It seemed more like something out of a pristine forest. Panther Cap relaxed. Grass King, it's you. I thought you were some other supernatural being. His eyes burned with fervor. So, are you here to help me? This sprout of grass was as powerful as the Mushroom Brothers, another extraordinary being in its own right. Nobody knew why a mere weed could become supernatural, and the Mushroom Brothers had wisely never asked. Chapter 82, The Future of Black Blade Plus, Turn Off Reset. Long before, the Mushroom Brothers had forged an alliance with the Grass King, agreeing to mutual non-interference and mutual support. Recently, on the advice of the Grass King, the Mushroom Brothers had decided to expand their territory from the Great Dream Marsh. However, the Mushroom Brothers were always puzzled as to why the Grass King remained solitary, never seeking to expand its own territory. I am here to help you, of course. Hurry, the immortal has already arrived in the Great Dream Marsh. The tender voice of the Grass King emerged from the small green sprout. Panther Cap pointed in the direction of the fading sword light. I've seen it, the immortal just flew out of the marsh. It's likely that my brothers are all dead. The Grass King expressed surprise before asking, what will you do then? Will you fight the immortal to the death? Hatred flickered in Panther Cap's eyes. Of course, I want revenge. But not now. I will take my followers far from the Great Dream Marsh to find a new territory, where we can secretly gather strength. When I become a level 6 supernatural being, I will return to kill the immortal and avenge my brothers. Panther Cap looked at the Grass King. We are allies, you will help me, right? Of course, we are allies, eternal allies, the Grass King nodded. Panther Cap felt moved. Thank you. You're welcome, the Grass King smiled. The next moment, numerous grass roots burst from the soil, piercing into Panther Cap's body. These roots had been lying in ambush all around him and now emerged suddenly, leaving him no time to react. Why are you attacking me? Weren't we allies? Didn't we agree that you take the central provinces and we take the eastern ones? Panther Cap's psionic energy was rapidly being drained. He held in pain and cursed in anger as the Grass King increased the intensity of the extraction. I dare not kill the immortal, the Grass King said calmly. I only encouraged you to expand so that you would expose yourselves deliberately. In its view, the Mushroom Brothers were a significant threat. Should their power grow, it could potentially endanger its own safety. Rather than wait for that day, it was better to set a trap and lead them to their own destruction. Panther Cap's eyes widened in rage. You. He couldn't finish his sentence. The draining of his psionic energy was so severe that he was rapidly losing his intelligence. Within minutes, the last of the Mushroom Brothers was drained of all psionic energy, turning into a dried-up husk. The Grass King looked in the direction of the departing sword light. Immortal, may we never meet. Even though it was the golden rain that awakened my intelligence, I still do not wish to encounter you. You might be reading a pirated copy. Look for the official release to support the author. The Grass King retracted its roots and wrapped itself in its leaves, quickly forming into a sphere. The sphere rolled along the ground and swiftly disappeared from sight. The squeal of brakes tore through the silence as Wang Yang's van screeched to a halt. He leaped from the vehicle, his face a mask of despair as he surveyed the bridge ahead, completely overrun with mushrooms. Tasked by Wang Gangjian to seek assistance from the ship gang, he had left Black Blade Security Company, hoping they could help stem the southward tide of mushroomen. But now, the very path to the ship gang was also claimed by the encroaching fungi, signaling that even the ship gang was in peril. What do we do? Go back? Wang Yong sighed deeply. Who's there? Don't you know this is ship gang territory? A wary voice called from beneath the bridge. Wang Yong looked down to see a small boat with two middle-aged men aboard. He sighed in relief and quickly explained the situation, ending with a plea, "Can you help me contact the ship gang's leader? We have no one else to rely on. Whatever the ship gang wants, we will provide." The two men exchanged a glance, their expressions odd. Yuhai City was attacked by mushroomen just 2 days ago, and several superhumans died, one of them said. We probably can't help you. Wang Yang's face fell. The ship gang had been attacked too? But he quickly seized on a crucial piece of information. Did the ship gang repel the mushroomen? They did, but the casualties were heavy, the other man replied. How exactly they repelled them, we don't know. All we heard was that the mushroomen suddenly ran away. Wang Yong was taken aback. They ran away? I have a walkie-talkie, I can ask the boss for you, the calmer of the two offered. Thank you, brother. Wang Yong expressed his gratitude. Moments later, the reply came through, the ship gang doesn't have the resources to help Linjiang province's forces. You're on your own. Wang Yong's expression froze. Okay then. He climbed back into his car like a zombie, turned around, and headed back the way he had come. The ship gang wouldn't help. The mushroomen were unstoppable. Was there a future for Blackblade? Would they have to relocate en masse as they had when facing the zombie horde? As he drove back, Wang Yong's thoughts drifted to the immortal. How the initial zombie tide had vanished remained a mystery, but it was clear it had something to do with the immortal. Would the immortal intervene again with the mushroomen moving south? The ship gang won't help. The immortal is our only hope now, he murmured, a flicker of hope reigniting in his eyes. I hope my cousin can persuade the immortal. At the Haodai Hotel, no sooner had Chu Xuan returned than he immediately cast the psionic cores of Ink Cap and Green Cap into the 100 Woods Nurturing Spirit Array. Inside the array, the remains of mushroomen had amassed like a small mountain. At a rough count, there were at least 3,000 bodies. Under the influence of the array, these carcasses would transform into rich energy, infusing into the psionic cores of Ink Cap, Green Cap, and Stinkhorn, and over time, metamorphosing into would attribute spiritual items. Given the current pace, they should take shape within a year at most, Chu Xuan mused, a smile playing upon his lips. It remains to be seen, however, just how many would attribute spiritual items will ultimately emerge. If the energy infused was sufficiently abundant and concentrated, a single seed could yield multiple spiritual items. Were this the mystic azure realm, merely procuring spiritual wood would cost a vast sum of spirit stones. The spirit stones required to create wood attribute spiritual items were only about 20 to 30% less than buying the items outright. See the novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But here on Blue Star, spiritual wood could be wholly substituted with mushroomin, a most lucrative venture indeed. I must not exterminate the mushroomin, Chu Xuan pondered. It would be prudent to cultivate a few more, even if they are not quite as formidable as the mushroom brothers. In doing so, I would secure more psionic cores, enabling the creation of additional wood attribute spiritual items. With this thought, Chu Xuan promptly dispatched Long and other corpse puppets to capture more mushroomin and breed them. There would be ample need for their selfless offerings in the future. Just then, Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. Black Blades people have come looking for me again? Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan stood anxiously outside the Haodai Hotel, where the mist churned incessantly as if concealing a frenzied dragon. This was their 5th attempt in recent days to summon the immortal residing within. Sadly, there had been no response, their calls had sunk like stones in the ocean. Yet, they could not afford to give up. Wang Gangjian was acutely aware that the lives of hundreds from Black Blade rested upon the shoulders of its few superhumans. If they did not strive and fight, all would inevitably perish. Immortal, please assist us, Wang Gangjian pleaded with all his might, his voice earnest. The mushroomen are too numerous, we are powerless against them. Whatever you desire, if it lies within our power, we will deliver it to you. His plea was made without the aid of loudspeakers or recordings, spoken each time from his own lips, lending the appeal a grave sincerity. The mist continued to swirl silently. The immortal did not appear. Tang Jinchuan's face was etched with bitterness. Let's go, boss. Wang Gangjian sighed and turned to leave. As they turned, they were startled to find a figure standing behind them. Black hair, black eyes, clad entirely in black, it was the immortal. Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan were simultaneously shaken and elated. Immortal? Chu Xuan inquired calmly, you just said you could give me anything I want. They nodded vigorously without hesitation. Chu Xuan's smile hinted at irony. What if I wanted you to become zombies, would you agree to that too? The two exchanged a glance, seeing the fear in each other's eyes. But after a moment of fear, Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan solemnly nodded again. We would, they affirmed. If our lives could save the hundreds in Black Blade, we would sacrifice ourselves willingly. Chu Xuan said no more. Silence fell between them for a moment. Eventually, Chu Xuan spoke nonchalantly, the leaders of the mushroomen are dead, and the rest pose no threat. You need not worry any longer. Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan were stunned, their eyes wide with immense relief. The leaders were dead? Truly? Instinctively, Wang Gangjian wanted to voice his inquiry but then realized the immortal had no reason to deceive them. He immediately felt at ease. Thank you, immortal. The two bowed deeply to Chu Xuan. Do not rush to express gratitude, there are matters I require your assistance with, Chu Xuan said casually. Wang Gangjian responded solemnly, please command us, immortal. Black Blade is ready to serve at your beck and call. I need you to gather intelligence, the more the better, Chu Xuan stated calmly. From Linjiang Province, Hanhai Province, even to the Han country. All information on supernatural beings is what I seek. This content has been unlawfully taken from Royal Road, report any instances of this story if found elsewhere. Although he could control the flying sword to search for supernatural beings, just Linjiang Province alone was vast enough to compare with nearly half of Wu Province. It was preferable to obtain intelligence beforehand, and then proceed with the hunt, thus saving time. Most of his time was devoted to cultivation, to breaking through to higher realms. Such time should not be wasted lightly. Such tasks, if given to the original corpse puppets, were slightly troublesome. Only corpses like Long, Hu, and Bao possessed the intelligence akin to normal humans. Lower-ranked corpse soldiers lacked brain capacity. They were not suitable for such tasks. Chu Xuan felt that the few from Black Blade security were quite capable. Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan were of superior mind and reliable. We are willing. Upon hearing this, Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan were delighted and immediately nodded. To serve the immortal was an immense honor. To serve me is to never rebel, for all eternity, Chu Xuan said indifferently. Should there be any betrayal, let your bodies be devoured by 1,000 corpses, and your souls barred from reincarnation. Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan shuddered. Such words from another might be dismissed as bravado. But coming from the immortal, they believed he truly possessed such powers. Both took a deep breath and declared solemnly, "We are at the immortal's command." Chu Xuan nodded slightly, flicking his finger lightly. 2 psionic cores landed precisely in front of him. "Swallow them," Chu Xuan said. This? Both Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan were taken aback at the psionic cores, the size of pigeon eggs. Such large psionic cores, surely they were at least 3rd level. Could we consume them? Consuming a psionic core required choosing one that matched or was lower than one's own level. Forcing a higher level psionic core could greatly increase the risk of failure. One might be normal 1 second, and a bloodthirsty monster the next. Wang Gangjian swallowed hard. "Immortal, we cannot simply consume psionic cores, it could be lethal." Chu Xuan looked at him and calmly stated, "With me here, you will not die." Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan exchanged a glance, reassured by his words. Wang Gangjian gritted his teeth, picked up the 3rd level psionic core, and shoved it into his mouth. Crunch! His teeth crushed the core as if it were candy, quickly transforming into dense psionic energy that surged through his limbs and body. The violent foreign psionic rampaged within him like a wild buffalo. In the blink of an eye, blood seeped from every pore on Wang Gangjian's body. Veins on his forehead bulged as he clenched his teeth tightly, a look of intense agony on his face. His eyes bulged out like those of a goldfish, streaked with blood as if he were about to turn into a zombie. Search *the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Tang Jinchuan watched in utter fear, convinced his friend was turning. Chu Xuan observed Wang Gangjian thoughtfully. His condition resembled that of a cultivator who had deviated during practice. For cultivators, such deviation meant bleeding from every orifice and potentially bursting apart. For superhumans, it meant complete zombification. To alleviate a cultivator's deviation, one needed to inject external spiritual chi to clear their blocked meridians. Presumably, the process was similar for superhumans. Moreover, psionic energy was inferior to spiritual chi. Chu Xuan only needed to intervene slightly to resolve Wang Gangjian's current condition. Watching the pained Wang Gangjian, Chu Xuan unleashed his spiritual sense, enveloping him. In an instant, he saw a massive accumulation of psionic energy in Wang Gangjian's chest. He flicked his finger. A strand of spiritual chi burst forth, piercing directly into Wang Gangjian's chest and breaking the blockage. At that moment, it was as if the skies had cleared. The psionic energy quickly dispersed, flowing to where it should naturally go, his organs, bones, blood, and muscles. Within a minute, the agony on Wang Gangjian's face visibly eased. Soon, he lay quietly on the ground, feeling the psionic energy transform his body. This spectacle left Tang Jinchuan wide-eyed and profoundly shaken. Immortal, this truly was the work of an immortal. Did this not mean that from now on, as long as they collected enough psionic cores, they could advance to higher levels without any danger? No other supernatural had such a privilege. Chapter 84, 3 years later, 6th level foundation establishment. Plus, turn off reset. Moments later, Wang Gangjian opened his eyes. His muscles had swelled considerably. His heart thumped powerfully like a massive water pump, circulating blood throughout his body. His arms had expanded beyond their previous size, the muscles rising like rocks, leaving no doubt about the strength surging within, enough to punch through iron. Wang Gangjian, filled with joy, exclaimed excitedly, "3rd level. I've become a 3rd level superhuman. Thank you, immortal." Chu Xuan glanced at Tang Jinchuan. "Your turn." "Yes." Without further hesitation, Tang Jinchuan immediately consumed the 3rd level psionic core he held. He was luckier. Unlike Wang Gangjian, he didn't experience intense zombification, though his entire body was in excruciating pain as if countless demons were tearing him apart. Continuing this way would not fully absorb the psionic core's energy and only waste it. With a casual flick, Chu Xuan also dispersed the psionic blockage for him, turning it into a gentle stream that flowed to its rightful place. Moments later, Tang Jinchuan stood up again, unable to hide his excitement. I am a second-level superhuman now. Thank you for your gift, immortal. Chu Xuan calmly said, show me your talents. Yes. Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan did not hesitate. They immediately activated their respective talents. Their talents were Strong Arm and Fat Drain. With the rise in their psionic levels, their talents had also grown stronger. After observing, Chu Xuan appeared thoughtful. His previous speculation was correct. Psionic was inferior to spiritual qi in many respects, and even more so compared to the refined essence of spiritual qi. However, in terms of vitality, psionic could match spiritual qi. Now, Wang Gangjian, merely a third-level superhuman, possessed tremendous strength, capable of killing a first-level qi refining cultivator in close combat. His vitality was comparable to a third-level qi refining cultivator. Tang Jinchuan's talent was more versatile. He could extract fat and shape it into various forms for offense and defense, with special applications. Your current strength is barely adequate, Chu Xuan said nonchalantly. Go back. You know what you should and shouldn't do. Yes. The two nodded repeatedly and turned to leave, their hearts still surging with excitement. Upon returning to the Black Blade's headquarters, their smiles were so broad that the few surviving guards at the gate were utterly baffled. Had Boss Wang and Boss Tang taken the wrong medicine? Why were they so joyously happy? At this moment, Wang Yong had already returned by car. Upon seeing Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan arrive, he and Song Dei immediately approached them, eager for news. Wang Yong, anxious, said, Brother, the ship gang also suffered an attack by the Mushroommen, with heavy casualties. They can't help us. Did you manage to enlist the Immortals' help? How did it go? Wang Gangjian and Tang Jinchuan could barely keep their smiles from reaching their ears. Ha ha ha. You would never guess what happened. They proceeded to share every detail of their experience. You might be reading a pirated copy. Look for the official release to support the author. Wang Yong and Song Dei were utterly astounded. No way. The Mushroommen retreated? Are we now under the Immortals' command? And you're a third-level superhuman now? Wang Yong and Song Dei's eyes bulged in disbelief, struggling to accept what they were hearing. That's right, we are under the Immortals' command now, Wang Gangjian stated solemnly. But the Immortal has high expectations for us, we cannot slack off. The crisis with the Mushroommen has been resolved. There are only a few stray ones left wandering outside. Tell the brothers, there's no need to worry anymore, Tang Jinchuan added with a smile. Wang Yong and Song Dei were so overjoyed they nearly burst into tears, wishing they could embrace and cry together. Great! The crisis being resolved is better than anything. Starting today, we at Black Blade need to adjust our strategy, Wang Gangjian declared earnestly. Our primary task is to gather intelligence for the Immortal, on all major powers, supernatural beings, any information at all. To accomplish this primary task, we need to recruit more superhumans to join and strengthen Black Blade's force. Yes, we'll get on it right now, Wang Yong and the others nodded vigorously. Chu Xuan was not particularly concerned with Black Blade's actions. His own formidable strength, the 2 third-level psionic cores, and a 100% advancement success rate were enough to ensure the absolute loyalty of Wang Gangjian and other superhumans. However, if the members of Black Blade proved inadequate for the tasks he assigned or their conduct did not meet his standards, it mattered little. He would simply replace them. After all, this planet was not lacking in people. There were plenty who would aspire to act as his agents and gather intelligence for him. Chu Xuan rode the flying sword to the soul-capturing evil-nurturing array located in Two Dragons City. He sat cross-legged within the array, circulating the blood evil demon refining scripture, drawing in the densing evil chi. Search *the novel _fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Day by day, his cultivation level rose. A year later, he advanced to the 5th level of foundation establishment. 2 more years passed, and he entered the 6th level of foundation establishment. During this time, Black Blade delivered copious amounts of intelligence, covering both large and small powers, as well as the whereabouts of supernatural beings. Chu Xuan did not need to take action himself, dispatching the trio of corpses, Long, Hu, and Bao, sufficed. He simply needed to sit and cultivate within the array. A continuous stream of psionic cores was brought to him. The psionic cores from supernatural animals were mostly non-attributive, with a small fraction being fish and thus possessing water attributes. No other attributes were present. However, the psionic cores from supernatural plants were mostly of the wood attribute, which was good news for Chu Xuan. Over the past year, he had acquired nearly 20 wood-attributed psionic cores. Placed within the 100 wood spirit nurturing array, these could create at least 20 wood-attributed spirit objects. Furthermore, Chu Xuan realized that after breaking through 2 minor realms in one go, facing the 7th level of foundation establishment presented a significant hurdle. The difference between the 6th and 7th levels, though seeming minor, marked a vast gap between the mid and late stages of foundation establishment. Many cultivators with lesser spiritual roots were stuck here, exhausting their lifespans without further progress. With my spiritual roots and some diligent effort, I should be able to break through to the 7th level of foundation establishment, but it will undoubtedly take much longer. 3 years, 4 years, or even 5 years are all possible. But that would be too long. Chu Xuan shook his head. According to the flow of time in the Mystic Azure Realm and Blue Star, about 3 months had passed in the Mystic Azure Realm. The war between the Heavenly Seal Sect and the Wu Province sects should have moved past the meat grinder phase and be nearing its end. He needed to quickly reach the late stage of the foundation establishment to take part in the spoils. I must refine the evil with spiritual body as soon as possible. Chu Xuan exhaled and ended his cultivation, steering the flying sword to the outside of the 100 wood spirit nurturing array. He was eager to see if the wood-attributed spirit objects had matured. Chapter 85, Evil Wood Spiritual Body in Minor Completion. Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chu Xuan soon arrived outside the 100 wood spirit nurturing array. 4 corpse puppets were guarding the periphery of the formation, vigilantly monitoring everything around. These 4 corpses, each at about the 4th level of corpse soldiers, possessed different spells: rapid eating technique, water storage technique, purification technique, and self-destruction technique. Initially crafted by Chu Xuan merely as cannon fodder, he later decided to train them for simple labor rather than waste their potential. Thus, Chu Xuan named them based on the spells they possessed: rapid eating corpse, water storage corpse, purifying corpse, and explosive corpse. Their task was to prevent any zombies or supernatural beings from approaching. Anyone daring to intrude would be swiftly executed. This was also the case for humans reckless enough to venture too close. After all, Chu Xuan wasn't particularly concerned about losing a bit of his accumulated virtue for killing a couple of foolhardy survivors. Moreover, these 4 corpse puppets were also responsible for tossing mushroomen captured by Long, Hu, and Bao into the array from various locations. Upon Chu Xuan's arrival, they emitted respectful roars, welcoming their master. Chu Xuan nodded slightly and looked towards the center of the formation. There, fresh corpses of mushroomen had accumulated like a small hill, and many older mushroomen corpses lay on the ground. However, the essence of these corpses had already been absorbed by the array, feeding into the wood attribute embryos. Chu Xuan's gaze then fell on the center. He immediately saw several irregular green crystals shimmering with bright green light, their brilliance far surpassing that of any psionic core. Clearly, they had matured. A look of pleasure crossed Chu Xuan's face. He reached out, and with a gesture of telekinesis, controlled the green crystals in his hand. Among these crystals, 3 were especially large and bright. They had been formed using the psionic cores of Stinkhorn, Inkcap, and Greencap. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xuan estimated that these 3 crystals could be considered mid-grade spirit objects at the Foundation establishment stage. The rest were at least of low-grade quality at the same stage. In other words, he had acquired a total of 18 wood attribute spirit objects this time. Moreover, more wood attribute spirit objects were nearing maturity. From their sheen, Chu Xuan predicted that within 5 days, he could harvest over 20 more wood attribute spirit objects. This would not only suffice to fully refine the evil wood spiritual body but also leave surplus spirit objects for future use. Whether continuing to consume them to fully develop or even perfect the evil wood spiritual body, or selling them in the cultivators market, all options were excellent. This way, I've essentially become a broker between 2 worlds, Chu Xuan mused with a light chuckle. Utilizing Mushroomman on Blue Star to produce wood attribute spirit objects, then selling them at a high price on Mystic Azure Realm. An incredibly profitable venture indeed. By doing so, he acquired a vast amount of spirit stones, while cultivators obtained valuable wood attribute spirit objects, a win-win situation. Several days later, as Chu Xuan had predicted, another batch of wood attribute spirit objects matured. After counting them, including the previous ones, he had 3 mid-grade and 41 low-grade spirit objects at the Foundation establishment stage. Did you know this story is from Royal Road? Read the official version for free and support the author. That's enough, Chu Xuan affirmed. He immediately returned to the center of the soul-capturing evil-nurturing array and sat down to commence his cultivation, consuming one of the spirit objects. A mid-grade Foundation establishment stage spirit object dissolved quickly under the influence of his spiritual chi, transforming into a powerful surge of wood attribute spiritual chi. This chi, guided by his spiritual cultivation, gradually spread throughout his limbs and body, eventually forming a faint network of green veins across his entire being. If a golden core expert could inspect Chu Xuan internally at this moment, they would discover that from his organs to his skin, subtle green vascular traces ran throughout his body, akin to a new set of organs. With these, Chu Xuan's affinity for the natural wood spiritual chi of the world significantly increased. Currently, having consumed only 1 wood attribute spirit object, these green vascular traces remained faint and fine, hardly visible unless looked at closely. After all 33 wood attribute spirit objects were refined, these green traces would become fully interconnected, marking the minor completion of the evil wood spiritual body. Chu Xuan settled down to continue his cultivation, processing 1 wood attribute spirit object every 3 days. After 99 days, the green vascular network sprawled across his body like a spiderweb. At that moment, it felt as though a tree had grown within him, its branches and leaves reaching out, sensing everything in the world. It is done. Chu Xuan suddenly opened his eyes, a look of joy spreading across his face. The evilwood spiritual body had reached minor completion. From now on, he was a cultivator with a postnatal spiritual body, which would greatly accelerate his cultivation speed compared to those with average spiritual roots. His progress to the 7th level of Foundation establishment would also quicken substantially. Chu Xuan calmed his heart and continued his cultivation, completely disengaged from all external affairs, be they supernatural beings, ship gang, or the Linjiang military. None of these mattered to him now. His only focus was on reaching the 7th level of Foundation establishment. Time passed unknowingly, and another spring and autumn came and went. In the eastern provinces of Linjiang, Hanhai, and Jingshan, collectively known as the Eastern 3 provinces, a rumor began to circulate. It was said that in a certain city within Linjiang province an immortal resided. This immortal could effortlessly neutralize a horde of zombies capable of annihilating an entire city. The dual-headed pythons that the Linjiang army struggled to cope with were slain by him on the spot. The mushroommen that swept through the Eastern 3 provinces were easily eradicated by him. As time progressed, the tales of the immortal became more divine. Some said he could slay level 5 zombies with a single stroke of his sword. Others claimed he could appear thousands of kilometers away in the blink of an eye. There were also stories of him flying through the skies on his sword, rescuing all those suffering and in distress. If not for the immortal's intervention, the eastern three provinces would have long become a realm dominated by supernatural beings, with no space for human survivors to exist. Many survivors felt profound gratitude towards this unseen immortal. Compared to the northern part of the Han country, where the zombie empress reigned, or the south plagued by venomous creatures, or the west overrun with man-eating vines, the eastern three provinces seemed almost like a paradise. Here, at least, there were no overwhelmingly powerful supernatural beings, at least, there was a place for the survivors. Of course, there were those who harbored discontent or disdain towards the immortal. They thought that, at best, the immortal was merely a powerful superhuman. The term immortal was just a self-aggrandizing label. To put it more harshly, they considered him a pretender. Furthermore, if the immortal was truly as powerful as the rumors suggested, why hadn't he appeared earlier to support the collapsing order? After so many years of the virus outbreak, which had caused the death and suffering of so many humans, why had he not come forward sooner to save the world? Such words, when heard by those who had witnessed Chu Xuan in action, were met with scorn. Idiots. They had not seen the power of the immortal and thus could speak such words. Had they seen even a glimpse of his capabilities, they would be clinging to the immortal's leg, calling him father. Chapter 86, Late Foundation Establishment. Return to Wu Province. Plus, turn off reset. The world outside was full of chaos and distractions, but Chu Xuan, now imbued with the evilwood spiritual body, was calmly focusing on his own plan, breaking through to the 7th level of Foundation Establishment. On this day, after a year of meditative sitting, a sudden surge of energy exploded within Chu Xuan. The bottleneck that had constrained him for 3 years finally showed signs of loosening. Chu Xuan let out a low growl, accelerating the circulation of the blood evil demon refining scripture. Spiritual chi burst forth from his chi si like a towering tidal wave, repeatedly slamming against the barrier in front of him. Boom. 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 The first attempt did not break through. Neither did the second. Nor the third, fourth, or fifth. It was only on the 6th attempt that the overwhelming spiritual chi finally shattered the barrier. In an instant, Chu Xuan felt a profound sense of clarity. When he regained his senses, his chi si had expanded significantly, at least doubling in size compared to the 6th level of Foundation Establishment. This was the difference between the mid and late stages of the Foundation Establishment. Finally, I have entered the late stage of Foundation Establishment. Chu Xuan stood up, feeling immensely relieved and exhilarated. With the strength of the late stage of Foundation Establishment, I should be able to claim my share of the chaotic and dangerous Wu province. Immediately, Chu Xuan activated the blood mirror and returned to Mystic Azure Realm. In Wu Province, outside the Ironwire Mountains, within a seemingly ordinary cave, Chu Xuan appeared abruptly. Previously, the Extreme Cave had been compelled to join the war under orders from the Heavenly Seal Sect. Chu Xuan had been dispatched to the Ironwire Mountains to rescue 2 cultivators from the Heavenly Seal Sect who were trapped there. He had been ambushed by a Gu master from the Ironwire Mountains. After assessing the significant disparity in strength between himself and his enemy, he had chosen to retreat to this cave. Before heading to Blue Star, he had carefully laid numerous formations within the cave to ensure that no one could discover anything about this place. Now, upon his return, Chu Xuan immediately checked these formations. Confirming that there were no signs of intrusion, he finally felt at ease. His biggest concern had been encountering enemies waiting for him immediately upon his arrival through the blood mirror, a truly dire scenario. I spent a total of 4 years cultivating on Blue Star, which amounts to 48 months. Converted to the time here, that's about 5 months, Chu Xuan mused. A lot can change in 5 months. I can't act rashly, I need to gather intelligence first. Disguised with a rugged bearded face, Chu Xuan soared towards the battlefield he remembered. It wasn't long before he encountered a skirmish. 3 chi refining stage cultivators were locked in fierce combat. 2 were from the Heavenly Seal Sect, while 1 was a cultivator from the Bloodbee Cave, a sect under the Thousand Insects Sect and roughly equal in power to the Ironwire Mountains. Chu Xuan recalled that Li Xuanming had once been tasked with assisting the Blood Bee Cave. The Blood Bee Cave cultivator clearly had the upper hand, aggressively commanding a swarm of blood bees, overwhelming the two Heavenly Seal Sect cultivators who were already heavily wounded and depleted of spiritual chi. The author's tale has been misappropriated. Report any instances of this story on Amazon. Senior brother, we should flee, the shorter and thinner of the two Heavenly Seal Sect cultivators despaired. Junior brother, you run first, the taller and thinner cultivator replied, eyes rolling as he plotted his escape. Demonic cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect, the Blood Bee Cave cultivator laughed cruelly, directing the swarm of blood bees towards the taller cultivator. In a moment of ruthless decision, the taller cultivator grabbed his shorter companion and threw him behind himself as a shield. The bees swarmed over the smaller cultivator, stinging his face and chest mercilessly. Their sharp mandibles quickly tore away flesh, revealing ghastly white bones underneath. Senior brother. You. The junior brother screamed in agony, his eyes blazing with rage and betrayal, wishing to incinerate the so-called senior brother into ashes. The senior cultivator sneered without looking back, running faster than a rabbit. But he had only made it a few steps when he heard the horrific screams of the Blood Bee Cave cultivator behind him. Stopping dead in his tracks, he turned to see the Blood Bee Cave cultivator being violently grasped by a pitch-black ghostly claw. The claw squeezed fiercely, and with a sickening crunch, the cultivator was segmented into several pieces, his blood and flesh scattering everywhere. Such effortless killing was not within the capabilities of a mere chi refining stage cultivator. This had to be the work of a Foundation establishment expert. Search *the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He saw a figure in black robes holding the head of the Blood Bee Cave cultivator, apparently casting a spell. The black-robed cultivator waved him over with his other hand. Swallowing hard, the tall cultivator hesitantly made his way back, hoping desperately that this mysterious figure hadn't witnessed his earlier betrayal. Fortuitously, when he arrived, he found his junior brother dead, his features twisted in a gruesome mask of pain, leaving no one alive to accuse him of abandoning his fellow sect member. Many thanks for your life-saving grace, Senior. I am but a humble disciple of the Heavenly Seal Sect at the Chi refining stage. The tall cultivator wept bitterly, bowing respectfully. However, before he could finish his words, a sinister spectral claw suddenly clenched around him. With a snap, it twisted his head off. Chu Xuan watched the cultivator, whose eyes bulged grotesquely, and said indifferently, I have no interest in knowing your name. Searching your soul will suffice. A disciple from the Blood Bee Cavern, and another from the Heavenly Seal Sect. Their memories corroborated each other. This was perfect for Chu Xuan to piece together the events of the past few months. After briefly examining the memories, Chu Xuan shook his head. The war is still so tense. The Thousand Insects Sect, the Blood Fury Sect, and the Bone Refining Matter are the three largest native sects of Wu Province. Currently, only the Blood Fury Sect and Bone Refining Matter have fallen to the Heavenly Seal Sect. The Thousand Insects Sect remains unconquered. Moreover, Chu Xuan discovered through their memories that nearly 40 Foundation establishment cultivators had perished in the past 5 months. Despite being outnumbered, the Thousand Insects Sect had exploited the geographical advantage of Wu Province, dragging the Heavenly Seal Sect's cultivators to their deaths in every marsh, rainforest, and valley. The Golden Core masters of both sides had clashed multiple times. Yet the Heavenly Seal Sect had gained no advantage, even suffering a severely injured Golden Core cultivator. Chu Xuan sensed something amiss. Despite the resilience of the Thousand Insects Sect, the number of their Golden Core cultivators was few, hardly enough to withstand the combined assault of several of the Heavenly Seal Sect's Golden Core elites. Perhaps, the other 4 sects of Yu country were also stirring the pot in the shadows. They wished to see this war drag on. Preferably, to drain the Heavenly Seal Sect of its last drop of blood. The day when the righteous 5 sects became the righteous 4 would be great news for them. 5 days ago, Chen Xiaofeng seized a top-grade magic tool from the Thousand Insects Sect, and while fleeing, he was ambushed by 2 Gu masters from the Ironwire Mountain. Trapped on Ironwire Mountain? At this revelation, Chu Xuan's eyes lit up. A top-grade magic tool. Such rarities were few and far between. At present, the only top-grade magic tool he possessed was the merit bell, acquired through slaying and looting from Huikong. Junior brother Chen, I'm here to save you. Asking for a top-grade magic tool in return isn't too much, is it? And the Gu master who once ambushed me, your life shall be taken. With a cold laugh, Chu Xuan directed his flying sword toward Ironwire Mountain. Having refined countless evil qi and consumed numerous spiritual items for so many years, wasn't it all for today? Chapter 87, Those who trespass Ironwire Mountain shall perish. Plus, turn off reset. 300 li north of Ironwire Mountain, 3 figures approached, each riding a flying magic tool. Leading them was Xianming, the great disciple of the Extremine Cave, dressed in flowing white robes and strikingly handsome. Following him were Xianxia, the second disciple of the Extremine Cave, and Zhou Yu, a cultivator from the Heavenly Seal Sect. Xianxia's flying magic tool carried a securely bound cultivator at the Foundation establishment stage, who appeared utterly terrified and devoid of any will to resist, his face etched with despair. As they moved forward, Xianming queried, Zhou Yu, tell us in detail, what capabilities do the Gu Masters of Ironwire Mountain possess? Zhou Yu forced a smile, Senior brother Li, I barely escaped with my life, it was pure luck. I don't know what methods the Gu Masters of Ironwire Mountain employ. Xianxia coldly threatened, speak now, or I'll kill you this instant. Who would know how a mere Foundation establishment cultivator died? Zhou Yu's face twitched. He had heard that these disciples of the Extremine Cave were no easy fellows. Now, he was even more fearful upon discovering that they dared to kidnap and possibly kill a Foundation establishment cultivator from the Heavenly Seal Sect's Flying Mountain Hall. Reluctantly, Zhou Yu recounted everything that had happened. I was here with Zhao Luan and Chu Xuan. Unexpectedly, Zhao Luan was infested by ironwire worms, and white goo worms burrowed out of his eyes. Realizing the danger, Chu Xuan and I decided to retreat immediately. But just as we turned to leave, the Gu Master appeared suddenly and struck us each in the back. I was severely injured, but fortunately, my life-saving flying talisman sped up my escape. As for Chu Xuan's whereabouts, I am unaware. If anything happened to him, it's not my fault. After all, it was an intelligence failure by the sect. Who knew the Gu Master of Ironwire Mountain was a mid-stage Foundation establishment? Zhou Yu shrank as he spoke, fearing a fatal slap from his captors. Xuanming's expression showed little change, but he sighed. Chu Xuan had been missing for too long. As the great disciple of the Extremine Cave, he felt obligated to investigate and provide an explanation to his master. After some inquiries, he and Xianxia learned that the intelligence received by the Heavenly Seal Sect had been gravely erroneous. The Gu Master of Ironwire Mountain was not a novice at the Foundation stage but a mid-stage cultivator. The pervasive fog on Ironwire Mountain was far from ordinary, teeming with worm eggs. At the time, Chu Xuan had only reached the second level of Foundation establishment, no match for the Gu Master of Ironwire Mountain. Over the months, there had been no word from Chu Xuan, and it was highly likely that his body had been dragged away by the Gu Master, and used as a nursery for Gu worms. Xianming had initially been reluctant to venture into Ironwire Mountain. His cultivation was only marginally equal to that of the Ironwire Mountain Gu Master, who also had the advantage of the terrain. It was uncertain who would prevail. However, upon hearing that Chen Zhaofeng, a new disciple of the Extremine Cave, had also been captured by the Gu Master of Ironwire Mountain, and that Chen Zhaofeng possessed a top-grade magic tool, Xianming felt compelled to intervene. His primary motive was to avenge his junior brother. The top-grade magic tool was only secondary. Support the author by searching for the original publication of this novel. Xianxia's face was filled with rage. He kicked the Foundation establishment stage cultivator in the stomach, eliciting a pained scream and a mouthful of blood. Xianxia growled, "You cur, do you realize your false information has cost the lives of my 2 junior brothers? Once I kill the Gu Master of Ironwire Mountain, I'll sever your head to guard their graves." The Foundation establishment cultivator, overwhelmed with fear, attempted to beg for mercy. However, Lu Zhenxiong had already sewn his mouth shut, leaving him only able to make muffled sounds. Soon, the trio arrived outside Ironwire Mountain, which was still shrouded in swirling white mist. This fog, pregnant with grave dangers, promised to turn all unwitting intruders into its sustenance. "What's the plan?" Zhou Yu asked, swallowing nervously and instinctively stepping back. "Just to be clear, I'm not strong enough to deal with this fog." Li Xianming responded calmly, "You won't need to lift a finger, just cover our rear when the time comes." He turned to Lu Zhenxiong, "Junior brother, it's on you. Clear the fog, and I'll lead the way." Lu Zhenxiong nodded vigorously and pulled 2 talismans from his storage bag. Zhou Yu's eyes widened at the sight. Array-breaking talismans. These talismans were high-grade items for those at the Foundation establishment stage, designed specifically to break through formations. Although they were consumable, their value could rival that of a high-grade magic tool. Many cultivators, especially those without substantial resources, wouldn't even consider buying such talismans. Zhou Yu had scarcely seen them before, but here Lu Zhenxiong produced 2 without hesitation. Indeed, this was the boldness of a demonic cultivator from the extreme cave, unhesitant in action, which surely played a part in their capacity to amass wealth. Unknowingly, Zhou Yu's perception shifted slightly. See the ovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Go. Lu Zhenxiong infused one of the talismans with his spiritual qi. The talisman flew into the mist and ignited instantly. Boom! The fog dissipated, and a path was explosively cleared. "Follow me." Li Xianming charged ahead, his palm emitting a yellow flame that crackled fiercely, incinerating the floating worm eggs in the air as it passed. This was none other than the corpse-refining blood fire. Without a second thought, Lu Zhenxiong flicked his wrist, and 4 long nails pinned the limbs of the Foundation establishment cultivator firmly into the rocks. "I'll deal with you when I return," he said with a cold huff, then followed Li Xianming into the mist alongside Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu, astonished by the blazing flames, inquired, "Senior brother Li, what fire is this?" Li Xianming responded emotionlessly, "Corpse-refining blood fire." Zhou Yu was about to ask more, but upon hearing the name, he immediately clamped his mouth shut. The name alone hinted at demonic practices. Recently, as the Heavenly Seal Sect warred with the native sects of Wu Province, the toll on both cultivators and mortals had been heavy. Many resorted to demonic means in secret, slaughtering mortals. Zhou Yu had more than once seen cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect, outwardly respectable, committing mass murders, blatantly ignoring the righteous sect's prohibition against slaughtering mortals. The corpse-refining blood fire, no doubt, was cultivated from the burning of numerous mortals and cultivators. Moments later, the mist surged once more. Without hesitation, Lu Zhenxiong activated another array-breaking talisman. Boom! The fog was blasted away again. The trio quickened their pace, breaking through the mist in one fell swoop to reach the foot of Ironwire Mountain. Below this peak was a sight too ghastly to behold. The ground was littered with corpses, some riddled with holes from goo worms, others still fresh. Blood mixed with mud, staining the ground a dark red. Zhou Yu felt his stomach churn, nearly vomiting. Yet, Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong seemed unaffected, indifferent to the macabre scene. Demonic cultivators, truly steadfast in resolve, Zhou Yu muttered under his breath, suppressing the urge to retch. He, you brazen cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect really dare to come here," a piercing voice suddenly echoed from all directions. "Those who trespass Ironwire Mountain shall die." Immediately following, countless thumb-sized black goo worms swarmed towards them. Chapter 88, The Weakest of the 3+, Turn-Off Reset. Lu Zhenxiong glanced at the incoming swarm and declared in a deep voice, "Black-backed gold beetles, first-level goo. They fear the flames." Li Xianming nodded, channeling more spiritual qi into the corpse-refining blood fire. With a booming sound, the flame intensified, enveloping the cluster of black-backed gold beetles in front of him. The air filled with a crackling sound as the insects flew into the flames and were instantly consumed, their bodily energy feeding and amplifying the corpse-refining blood fire. This was the terrifying aspect of the corpse refining blood fire. As long as there was flesh, it needed no external spiritual chi to burn endlessly. For the other approaching black-backed gold beetles, Lu Zhenxiong carefully retrieved a box and opened it. A green bug slowly awakened inside. Scenting the beetles, it charged like a starving ghost unleashed after decades, causing the beetles to scatter in terror with shrill cries. The green bug tore through them like a tiger amongst sheep, shredding the beetles into pieces. Black carapaces, transparent wing cases, and yellow bodily fluids fell to the ground. Zhou Yu watched in utter shock. Over the months of conflict, he had encountered the black-backed gold beetles numerous times. Although they were only first transformation goo and hardly grew more powerful, their reproduction was rapid and their carapaces tough. When deployed, their numbers were overwhelming, much like a plague of locusts. Many early-stage Foundation cultivators found them a nuisance, often forced to retreat when faced with large swarms. "What is that green bug?" Zhou Yu asked, noting it seemed to be the bane of the black-backed gold beetles. Lu Zhenxiong casually replied, "Green armor immortal, it preys on black-backed gold beetles. I brought several types of goo this time to be prepared, and the green armor immortal is just one of them designed to counter these beetles." Zhou Yu's eyes widened in admiration. Impressive. He felt like a sheltered flower compared to these cultivators from the Xuanming cave, realizing he had much to learn about goo. Before all the black-backed gold beetles were exterminated, the goo master could no longer sit idle. He moved like a specter among the ruins and trees, drawing closer to the trio. Suddenly, he burst forth, aiming directly at Zhou Yu. Zhou Yu frustrated, "Damn it, why target me? Humph, you're the weakest of the three, who else but you should I kill?" The goo master sneered, sending a palm strike straight towards Zhou Yu's face. Zhou Yu roared in anger, immediately conjuring a small shield in front of him. He also deployed a water barrier that shimmered around him. Despite these defenses, the impact of the strike sent his blood surging violently, nearly causing him to spit blood on the spot. "Just waiting for you to make your move," Lu Zhenxiong muttered, suddenly pinching his fingers together. Zhou Yu felt a sharp pain on his shoulder and turned his head to see a bug unexpectedly burrowing out from it. The bug moved incredibly fast and in the blink of an eye, it charged towards the goo master. Then, it exploded. "This tale has been unlawfully lifted from Royal Road, report any instances of this story if found elsewhere." The burst of plasma coalesced into terrifying blood claws that latched onto the goo master, immobilizing him. At this moment, Zhou Yu's face was a mask of horror. "What the heck?" Lu Zhenxiong patted my shoulder, and he had already placed a goo there? The methods of these Xuanming cave guys are too terrifying. Lu Zhenxiong watched the goo master with an indifferent gaze, having anticipated that he would target the weakest among them, Zhou Yu, and had prepared accordingly. "Speak, where is junior brother Qin Zhaofeng?" Lu Zhenxiong demanded. The goo master, far from intimidated, began to laugh maniacally, his laughter growing louder and more intense. Li Xianming furrowed his brows, suddenly realizing something. He stepped forward rapidly and injected his spiritual chi into the goo master to probe his chi. Retreating quickly, he exclaimed, "It's not right, he's not at the 5th level of Foundation establishment, there are other goo masters around." As soon as he spoke, chilling laughter echoed around them. Reacting only now? Too late. Swish, swish, swish. 3 figures descended from the sky, positioning themselves in a triangle around them. From beneath the corpse-covered, dark red ground, layers of golden light suddenly rose, instantly forming an array that enveloped Li Xianming and the others. Within the array, 3 golden beasts rapidly materialized, each a gigantic golden wolf with bared teeth, ready to devour. Li Xuanming's expression shifted slightly. Although not deeply versed in arrays, he recognized many Foundation establishment stage formations and instantly identified this as the Wolf Soul Killing Array, a mid-tier formation at that level. The array could conjure 3 golden wolves, and as long as the array's energy wasn't completely exhausted, these wolves would continue to revive. These native cultivators of Wu province, when had they acquired such sophisticated formations? During the past 5 months of warfare, they had never revealed such capabilities. Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong were not fools. They immediately suspected that other sects might have joined the war, perhaps even supplying these advanced formations to the native cultivators. Ironwire Mountain forever. Thousand Insects Sect forever, the trapped goo master roared as his skin suddenly swelled and his veins writhed like worms under his skin. The trio's faces changed drastically, and they quickly employed their own methods to defend themselves. With a loud bang, the goo master exploded like an overinflated balloon, scattering blood, bones, muscles, and organs everywhere. Under the influence of spiritual qi, these fragments turned into deadly shrapnel, making their impact in such a confined space truly horrifying. Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong, both robustly powerful and protected by high-grade magic tools gifted by Wan Wuying, barely managed to withstand the goo master's self-destruction. Zhou Yu, however, was not so fortunate. Being only at the early stage of foundation establishment and lacking substantial personal resources, his defensive magic tool was instantly shattered, and his protective spells were blown apart. The debris pierced his flesh unimpeded. Zhou Yu screamed in agony and fell to the ground. Immediately, the 3 golden wolves, which had been waiting, pounced. Zhou Yu's leg was bitten off in an instant. Had he not activated a mid-grade foundation establishment gold light shield talisman in a desperate attempt to save his life, he would have been devoured by the wolves then and there. Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong had to focus intensely on dealing with the wolves. Although they could briefly kill the wolves, the creatures would quickly revive. See the novel, ire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Now that Lu Zhenxiong had run out of array-breaking talismans, they couldn't break the wolf soul-killing array directly. They had to exhaust the array's energy to break the encirclement. In a roar of fury, Lu Zhenxiong invoked, Black Beast Demonic Body. His body suddenly swelled, bursting his robes. In the blink of an eye, his body was covered in black fur, transforming him into a creature resembling a black demonic beast. This was the result of his auxiliary practice, the 100 Beasts body, which has 3 levels. Having mastered the 2nd level, he could summon the Black Beast demonic body, significantly enhancing his physical strength. At this point of life and death, there was no longer any reason to hold back their trump cards. Upon seeing Lu Zhenxiong's transformation, the lead goo master quickly took out a small bottle and activated it with spiritual qi. A fragrant scent immediately spread and drifted into the soul wolf killing array. Upon inhaling this strange fragrance, Lu Zhenxiong's swollen muscles swiftly weakened, and the black fur receded. In the blink of an eye, he reverted to his human form. Lu Zhenxiong's expression turned from shock to fury as he roared, "Scattered blood fragrance! You know the weakness of the Black Beast demonic body. This is impossible." He had always been aware of the vulnerability of the Black Beast demonic body, but it was highly unlikely that the native sects of Wu province, far less informed than the righteous 5 sects, would know it, unless someone had told them. The lead goo master cackled, "Lu Zhenxiong, Li Xianming, right? You have quite the junior brother." Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong's expressions drastically changed. They now had a good idea why their weaknesses were known so clearly to the goo masters of Ironwire Mountain. "Chen Jiaofeng, show yourself!" Li Xianming shouted angrily. Well, why the necessity to see me, senior brothers?" came the voice of Chen Jiaofeng from behind a large tree. Then, he emerged slowly under the furious gazes of Li Xianming and the others. The lead goo master respectfully said, "Senior brother Chen, they are like fish in a barrel now. As we agreed earlier, these people are for you to deal with." Lu Zhenxiong, furious, said, "Chen Jiaofeng. We came all this way to rescue you, and you turn on us?" Li Xianming took a deep breath. "Tell me, why?" Chen Jiaofeng smiled slightly, "Because I am now a disciple of the Thousand Insects sect. Moreover, I am the chief disciple under the Golden Core Grandmaster 100 Gu Daoist. I can take and use the sect's treasures as I wish. To me, you two are natural enemies." Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong suppressed their rage. This betrayer of his own masters. "My 2 senior brothers are formidable, but let's wear them down with the wolf soul killing array and the goo insects." We'll make our move when we are fully assured, said Chen Zhaofeng with a faint smile. Very well, Senior Brother Chen, the lead Gu Master nodded respectfully. The 3 Gu Masters from Ironwire Mountain then released various Gu into the array. No matter how strongly Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong were, they couldn't withstand such a tidal onslaught. Their trump cards were dwindling, their spiritual qi was drying up, and their injuries were multiplying. As for Zhou Yu, several Ironwire worms had already burrowed into his body, his complexion turning deathly pale. Just as the atmosphere tensed to a breaking point, the fog suddenly carried the sizzle of burning flesh. The 3 Gu Masters felt a stir of apprehension and turned to look behind them. A figure strode through the mist. As his face became clear, everyone except the Gu Masters of Ironwire Mountain gasped in shock. If you stumble upon this narrative on Amazon, it's taken without the author's consent. Report it. Zhou Yu exclaimed, unable to believe his eyes. Chu Xuan. You're still alive? Lu Zhenxiong's initial joy quickly turned to an urgent warning, Junior Brother, run. Chen Zhaofeng is a traitor. Li Xuanming sighed deeply, Chu Xuan, this isn't the time for you, run. Chu Xuan being alive was good news, but stepping into the fog at this moment seemed almost worse than if he had died earlier. Chen Zhaofeng looked on, his smile mocking, Chu Xuan? The lead Gu Master frowned, your luck isn't bad, surviving all this time. It was he who had struck Chu Xuan from behind before. Unfortunately for him, Chu Xuan had escaped. Chu Xuan scanned the scene and smirked, it seems I've arrived just in time. He hadn't expected that his long journey would coincide with Li Xuanming and others attempting to rescue Chen Zhaofeng. Seeing the situation, it appeared Chen Zhaofeng had already betrayed the extreme cave. This was actually convenient. Kill him, just a mere second-layer foundation establishment, I can't be bothered, Chen Zhaofeng dismissed Chu Xuan with a wave of his hand as if swatting a fly. 2 Gu Masters immediately advanced towards Chu Xuan, one controlling Ironwire worms and the other commanding black-backed gold beetles, ready to strike from both sides. However, they only saw a blur before Chu Xuan vanished from sight, leaving behind only a faint trace of evil qi. It was the evil escape, powered by evil qi. In the next instant, a massive demonic claw materialized out of thin air and crushed one of the Gu Masters. The Ironwire worms he was about to unleash fell to the ground, writhing in agony before quickly expiring. The other Gu Master's pupils shrank in horror as he immediately retreated, summoning an iron carapace for protection. Roar! A massive fist smashed through the iron shield and penetrated his skull. Brain matter, blood, and fragments of bone and carapace sprayed in all directions. The observers focused their eyes and were stunned to see a towering, muscular corpse demon. With a single punch, it had exploded the head of a Foundation establishment cultivator, an undoubtedly powerful corpse general. Seeing the 2 Gu Masters killed instantly, the lead Gu Master's eyes blazed with fury. Unlike the self-destructing Gu Master, these 2 were his junior brothers, with whom he had shared daily life. The bond they had was not easily dismissed. I will kill you. The lead Gu Master stomped the ground ferociously, darting forward rapidly. With his hands glowing red with intense power, he thrust them toward Chu Xuan, unleashing a flurry of red palm strikes that descended like rain. However, this was not his true killing move. Hidden within the red palm prints were 3 Ironwire worms, aimed directly at Chu Xuan's vital points for a deadly strike. Bang, bang, bang. The red palm strikes relentlessly pounded the ground, yet not a single one grazed Chu Xuan's clothing. To Li Xuanming, Lu Zhenxiong, and Zhou Yu, Chu Xuan seemed like a fierce wind, completely untouchable. Such incredible speed, is this the evil escape? Lu Zhenxiong exclaimed in astonishment. Li Xuanming watched in awe. Where did Chu Xuan find so much evil qi to freely perform the evil escape each time, which consumed a considerable amount of energy with each use? Whoosh! A streak of red suddenly flashed. In just an instant, it split 2 of the sturdy Ironwire worms in half and devoured them. Before the 3rd worm could strike Chu Xuan, it was blocked by a blood-red shadow, none other than the blood-evil shadow. The streak swept out again, similarly slicing the 3rd worm in half. In the blink of an eye, the formidable attack of the Foundation Establishment Stage 5th Layer Gu Master was swiftly neutralized by Chu Xuan. It's my turn now. Chu Xuan casually gestured, and the evil soul chain shot out. The chain soul, Huikong, burst forth with a deafening roar, attacking the Gu Master's mind and causing a momentary shutdown. In that brief moment, the chain like a massive black python completely wrapped around the Gu Master's neck and tightened securely. With a crisp snap, the head was severed from the body. The head flew through the air, eyes still wide in shock. The lingering thoughts of the Gu Master struggled to comprehend. The last time they fought, Chu Xuan was barely able to defend himself, yet now he had effortlessly retaliated and killed him. In just a few months, Chu Xuan's growth had been terrifyingly rapid. He needed to be eliminated quickly. Search *the novel, ire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. But no words would come out anymore. Darkness and cold enveloped him completely. Chapter 90, Obligation to Slay the 1,000 Insects Sect's Cultivators. Plus, turn off reset. The events unfolded over what felt like an eternity, yet they occurred within just a few breaths' time. By the time Xuanming and the others had gathered their wits, all 3 Ironwire Mountain Gu Masters lay dead. Only Qin Xiaofeng remained. Chu Xuan casually motioned with his hand, and the evil soul chain, like a live python, shook off the blood and hovered beside him. He turned his gaze towards Qin Xiaofeng, whose initially confident expression had turned deathly pale. Thud. Qin Xiaofeng fell to his knees, crawling towards Chu Xuan through the muck and blood, sobbing uncontrollably. Senior brother Chu. It was them, they forced me. They put a goo worm in my brain, he pleaded. We are senior and junior brothers. Master likes me very much. You must save me. His tone was earnest, tears and snot mingling with the blood streaming down his face. Even someone with a trace of compassion might hesitate at this display. The novelfire.net * website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, unbeknownst to Qin Xiaofeng, Lu Zhenxiong, Li Xuanming, and Zhou Yu, who were behind him, had noticed something. Lu Zhenxiong's pupils suddenly narrowed. He spotted a subtle movement from Qin Xiaofeng, a talisman. Be careful. A talisman. Lu Zhenxiong managed to shout a warning, but it was too late. Too late. Qin Xiaofeng's pleading face instantly twisted into a snarl. Die. He raised the talisman, hurling it towards Chu Xuan. However, he was shocked to find that he couldn't control his right hand. Looking down, he saw that his arm had been cleanly severed at the shoulder, a blood-like goo worm voraciously devouring his flesh. Naturally, the talisman couldn't be deployed. Ah! Qin Xiaofeng screamed in agony, clutching his empty shoulder socket, and rolling on the ground. Chu Xuan looked down at this junior brother from the Xuanming cave, his expression indifferent. In that instant, a thin wire had already silently burrowed into Qin Xiaofeng's body from the ground. Overwhelmed by his emotions, he hadn't noticed his right arm being devoured. Even if he hadn't tried to attack, Chu Xuan would have manipulated his right hand to do so. Senior brother Chu. I have a top-grade magic tool. I'll give it to you, spare me. Qin Xiaofeng continued to wail, pleading for his life. But Chu Xuan had already slapped his palm on Qin Xiaofeng's crown, executing the soul search technique. This spell was stronger than the soul-capturing gaze. It could reveal everything about a person, down to the time they wet the bed. Of course, compared to the dizziness caused by the soul capture eye, the only slightly more severe side effect of the soul search technique was that it left the victim into an idiot. Moments later, having obtained what he desired, Chu Xuan nonchalantly crushed Qin Xiaofeng's skull as one might a watermelon. He then stored the body in his corpse tower. Whether used as nourishment, transformed into blood pearls, or fuel for the corpse refining blood fire, the corpse of a Foundation Establishment Stage Cultivator was highly valuable. If you discover this tale on Amazon, be aware that it has been stolen. Please report the violation. Zhou Yu watched in stunned silence as Chu Xuan methodically executed these tasks. Wasn't Qin Xiaofeng their fellow sect member from the Xuanming cave? soul-searching, seizing treasures, and collecting the corpse, all done in one fluid sequence. To the uninitiated, it might have seemed like they were sworn enemies. Chu Xuan then moved forward to dismantle the wolf soul-killing array, effortlessly collecting its flags. Such arrays were more vulnerable from the outside, making them relatively easy to break. Once refurbished by an array master, this array could be useful for his future purposes. "Senior brothers, you've suffered," Chu Xuan said, helping Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong to their feet. Lu Zhenxiong expressed his relief. "Junior brother, we came here to avenge you, never expecting you to still be alive, and your strength has increased so much." "Master would be very pleased to know this," he added with satisfaction. Li Xianming, his expression complex, bowed to Chu Xuan. "Thank you, junior brother, for saving us. Including that time at Misty Manor, you've saved my life twice now." He couldn't discern Chu Xuan's exact level but surmised it must be at least equal to his own, given the swift dispatch of the 3 Gu masters from Ironwire Mountain. Chu Xuan merely smiled. "As fellow sect members, it's only right to help when I can." His motivation wasn't solely to save Li Xianming but also to assist Lu Zhenxiong, who, unlike a ruthless demonic cultivator, seemed more like a cultivator of the righteous way. Chu Xuan remembered how Lu Zhenxiong had covertly given him a tiger soul talisman, a gesture he had not forgotten. His philosophy was simple: those who love me, I cherish; those who hate me, I destroy. Practicing the demonic way was all about indulging one's passions and following one's heart. Suddenly, a trembling voice came from the ground. The 3 of you, there's still one person lying here, could you lend a hand, save me, please?" Zhou Yu was nearly crying. While his fellow sect members reminisced and shared deep connections, he was nearly being devoured by ironwire worms. Chu Xuan glanced at Zhou Yu, his tone half-joking. "Fellow Taoist Zhou, your body is barely hanging on. Wouldn't it be a selfless act to nourish my corpse puppet?" Zhou Yu shuddered at the suggestion, protesting quickly. No, I think I can still be saved." Chu Xuan chuckled and flicked his finger, sending Gongxi shooting towards Zhou Yu. It burrowed into his body and efficiently devoured the remaining ironwire worms, as well as cleaned up any residual blood and flesh debris, before returning to Chu Xuan. Relieved, Zhou Yu hastily swallowed some healing pills. Lu Zhenxiong then spoke up, his voice grave. "We should leave this place. There could be other Gu masters lurking." Chu Xuan shook his head. "No, there are no more. I searched Qin Zhaofeng's soul, only these 4 Foundation establishment Gu masters were left on Ironwire Mountain. All the Qi refining Gu masters under them have been turned into breeding grounds for their Gu." Zhou Yu whispered, "We should still leave. This place is too creepy, and both senior brother Li and Lu are injured." Chu Xuan smiled. Now that Qin Zhaofeng has become a chief disciple under the 100 Insect Taoist, his safety is crucial to the 1000 Insects Sect's Gu masters. Just sending out a distress signal would immediately bring Gu masters here. I found a 1000 Insects Sect signal talisman in his storage bag during the soul search. At this, Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong's eyes lit up. It was a perfect opportunity to lie in wait. Chu Xuan began setting up the killing array while continuing, "Senior brothers, heal yourselves now. There will be a good number of Gu masters arriving soon, and I won't be able to cover everything." Understood, Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong agreed. Luring and eliminating Gu masters from the 1000 Insects Sect would be a significant achievement. They could exchange the merit for rare treasures within their sect, an opportunity too good to miss. Zhou Yu was on the verge of tears. Despite their agreement to leave, they weren't moving. "You extreme cave cultivators can still fight, but I'm done for. Can't you consider helping me out?" Remembering Zhou Yu, Chu Xuan turned back and smiled. "If fellow Taoist Zhou feels unable to assist, you could still offer yourself to nourish my corpse puppet. I would be most grateful." Zhou Yu, rallying his dignity, exclaimed, "Slaying the 1000 Insect Sect's demonic Gu masters is our bounden duty. How can fellow Taoist Chu suggest otherwise?" Chu Xuan bowed his head, amused. "To see such resolve in fellow Taoist Zhou truly comforts my heart." 2 hours later, the clearing at the base of Ironwire Mountain was littered with 6 bodies, each a goo master of the Thousand Insects sect, drawn by the signal Chu Xuan had released. These cultivators had hurried to the location without hesitation, dropping all other activities. They arrived unprepared and walked into an ambush where Chu Xuan and his companions had been lying in wait, fully rested and ready. The outcome was predictable. Chu Xuan and his senior brothers reaped a rich harvest from this setup. Xianming and Zhenxiong each killed a goo master while Chu Xuan, with his superior strength, swiftly eliminated 2 and then another 2 in a clash. See the nelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. As for Zhou, he ended up in a dire situation yet again, with 2 ironwire worms burrowing into his organs. He would have perished if not for who provided timely assistance. 6 storage bags in total. We can divide them equally among the 3 of us, Chu Xuan suggested, handing over 2 of the 4 bags he acquired to Xianming and Zhenxiong. They were taken aback by the gesture. Junior brother, these are your spoils, Zhenxiong objected, shaking his head. Chu Xuan smiled. We jointly finished 6 goo masters. It wouldn't be right for me to keep everything. Besides, we are fellow sect members. Xianming and Zhenxiong reluctantly accepted the storage bags after these words. Zhou tentatively raised his hand. I would like one too. Chu Xuan grinned. Has fellow Taoist Zhou made up his mind? To nourish the corpse or the worms? Zhou quickly withdrew his hand, shaking his head like a rattle. Forget I said anything. Chu Xuan smiled subtly. He had already acquired Qin Jiafeng's storage bag. Aside from the top magic tool and various treasures bestowed upon Chen by the 100 Gu Daoist, just the large amount of spirit stones was a tremendous gain. He had also secured the storage bags from the 3 Gu masters he had killed earlier. Being too greedy would not be wise. If Chu Xuan hadn't known Xianming and Zhenxiong and if they hadn't been fellow sect members under Wan Wuying, perhaps he could have kept everything for himself without a word. Given his strength, neither would dare to complain. However, considering their shared lineage and the fact that he had just killed Qin Jiafeng, once highly esteemed by Wan Wuying, the complexities of internal sect relationships were too entangled. It was safer to share some of the spoils to keep potential complaints at bay. After all, he who receives a benefit should never forget it. After scouring Ironwire Mountain clean, the group swiftly departed, riding the heavenly star flying sword back to the territory of the Xuanming cave. Before leaving, they didn't forget about the foundation establishment cultivator Zhenxiong had nailed down. Once Chu Xuan learned that it was this individual who had provided the erroneous information that led to their initial trouble, he didn't hesitate to execute him and toss him into the corpse-nurturing tower. In the cavernous depths of the Xuanming cave, within the sanctum of Master Wan Wuying, Chu Xuan and his 2 companions entered in succession, each kneeling on one knee before their master. Wu Ting had been waiting inside the cave for some time. Master Wan's gaze swept past Xianming and Zhenxiong, finally resting on Chu Xuan. The story has been taken without consent. If you see it on Amazon, report the incident. He snorted coldly, the oppressive aura of a golden core cultivator bursting forth, settling like a mountain upon Chu Xuan's shoulders, rendering him breathless. Master Wan's voice was stern. So, you return to report only after the deed is done, commendable indeed. He barked, tell me, Chu Xuan, did you kill Qin Jiafeng out of jealousy? Chu Xuan responded firmly, no, master, I acted to purge our sect of dishonor. Master Wan scoffed with icy mockery, how righteously you phrase it. Look at me, Chu Xuan, did you desire the top-grade magic tool he possessed so intensely that it drove you to murder? Chu Xuan met Master Wan's piercing eyes without hesitation. Yes, I indeed coveted that top-grade magic tool. Xianming, Zhenxiong, and Wu Ting looked on in astonishment. They too had desired the legendary tool, yet none could declare it with such disarming candor. Master Wan, momentarily taken aback, soon huffed, you are brutally honest, at least. Now, tell me, where have you been these past 5 months? How did you advance from the 2nd level of foundation establishment to the 7th so rapidly? As he finished, Master Wan withdrew his overwhelming aura. The invisible weight crushing Chu Xuan dissipated, allowing him to rise. He had anticipated that his true cultivation level could not be concealed from Master Wan. The revelation shocked Li Xianming, Lu Zhenxiong, and Wu Ting. The 7th level of the Foundation establishment? This was a cultivator on the verge of peak mastery. No wonder Chu Xuan possessed such formidable strength, effortlessly slaying 3 Gu masters and lying in wait to dispatch 4 more. They too stood up, eager to discover how Chu Xuan had achieved such extraordinary progress. Chu Xuan, having rehearsed his explanation, spoke fluently, "Master, I was never merely at the 2nd level of Foundation establishment but at the 4th. I concealed my true strength, fearing the old saying that the nail that sticks out gets hammered down might invite envy from other disciples of the Heavenly Seal Sect." Master Wan nodded slightly. His student's caution resonated with his own philosophy. During his days as a Foundation establishment cultivator, he too had understood the perils of prominence and had kept his capabilities concealed. Later, Chu Xuan recounted his ordeal at Ironwire Mountain, where a Gu master had grievously wounded him. He fled desperately, and in a haze, tumbled into an underground valley. Chu Xuan's face betrayed no deception as he wove his tale. It was the typical narrative of a fortuitous fall leading to rapid advancement, replete with all the clichés of serendipitous encounters. Asked about the exact location of this underground valley, he provided evasive, inconsistent answers, now in the east, then in the west. With Wu Province being a region abundant in mountains and valleys, pinpointing any specific location from Chu Xuan's vague descriptions was impossible. Master Wan Wuying, seasoned and astute, detected the subtext in Chu Xuan's words. He snorted, "It's normal to have one's little secrets. If I hadn't had my share of fortuitous encounters, I wouldn't be where I am today." "Off you go," he continued dismissively, "you've slain so many from the 1,000 Insects sect, the 100 Gu Daoist will surely be harboring thoughts of vengeance. Better stay in your caves for a few days." Chu Xuan and his companions bowed respectfully. Disciples take their leave. "Senior brothers, I shall head back first." Having bid farewell outside Master Wan's cave, Chu Xuan summoned his heavenly star flying sword and sped toward the water curtain cave. Li Xianming watched his departing figure, feeling a mix of emotions. Wu Ting chuckled, "Senior brother Li, it looks like your position as the eldest senior brother might be at risk." Li Xianming responded calmly, "If junior brother Chu continues to surpass me, why should I cling to the title of eldest senior brother?" The 3 then dispersed to their respective caves. At the water curtain cave, Chu Xuan wasted no time. Upon entering his abode, he unfolded the blood mirror and returned to the blue star. Atop the rooftop of Haodai Hotel, Chu Xuan sat cross-legged on a plush velvet cushion, looking at the 6 storage bags arrayed before him. 1 was from Qin Zhaofeng, 3 from the initial batch of Gu masters, and 2 from those who had come to the rescue. He first erased the spiritual marks from the 5 bags and then inspected their contents. As expected, these Gu masters were mediocre, each had around 1,000 small spiritual stones. The rest was mostly eggs and food for the worms. As for magic tools, most were of medium quality, with only 2 superior ones, both suited for offense. Finding them of no use, Chu Xuan planned to sell them at the nameless market when convenient. After organizing his loot, Chu Xuan prepared to break the seal on Qin Zhaofeng's storage bag. "Holy smokes! Jackpot," he exclaimed as he peered inside. Chapter 92, Top-Grade Magic Tool, the Blood Beebive Plus, Turn-Off Reset. In Qin Zhaofeng's storage bag, Chu Xuan found treasures too numerous to count. The first things to catch his eye were small spiritual stones piled into a small mountain, roughly totaling over 4,000 pieces. Even medium spiritual stones formed a little mound, numbering at least 30. These stones, if used as energy sources for arrays, could maintain normal operation for up to 10 years under typical circumstances, far surpassing the output of small spiritual stones. Next, he discovered the top-grade magic tool. It was palm-sized and resembled a beehive, entirely crimson in color with only the residual imprint of Qin Zhaofeng. Chu Xuan sensed the nature of the imprint with a click of his tongue, a soul blood mark, truly a waste of my time. The soul blood mark, compared to spirit soul and blood essence marks, was more firmly ingrained and made manipulation as natural as moving one's own limb, second only to a life-bound mark. Eradicating the soul blood mark was naturally the most time-consuming task. Despite Chu Xuan's soul strength far surpassing Chen Zhaofeng's, it took him 4 full hours to erase it. Following that, Chu Xuan sanctified the magic tool with his own blood essence, finally bringing it under his control. After a while, he opened his eyes, now fully aware of the magic tool's unique capabilities. The top-grade magic tool, the blood beehive, contains a millennium-dormant blood bee queen egg. If the blood beehive is cultivated as a life-bound magic tool, then the queen bee will also become a life-bound goo. The blood bee can differentiate into various tribes. The warrior bees possess a strong desire for battle and feast on flesh, while the worker bees, though not suited for combat, can extract energy from the flesh to produce highly pure blood honey. As the queen advances in rank and her bloodline strengthens, the types of blood bees it can differentiate into will increase. This treasure demands a powerful spirit. Without sufficient soul strength, one cannot fully control it. Chu Xuan marveled at the blood beehive's virtues. It was indeed a valuable item, though it required a strong soul to manage. The Thousand Insect Sect, unlike the long-established major sects of the righteous path, lacked secret techniques for soul cultivation. Only a few within the sect could wield the blood beehive. No wonder the 100 Gu Daoist made Chen Zhaofeng his chief disciple upon learning he could control the blood beehive. And no wonder Wan Wuying, despite treating Chen Zhaofeng well, was betrayed. Chu Xuan's smile deepened. Who wouldn't covet the blood beehive lying before him? As for it being a life-bound magic tool, many cultivators mistakenly believe one can only refine one in a lifetime. If one's soul is robust enough, and one has ample blood essence to spare without hampering cultivation, then as many life-bound magic tools as desired can be crafted. Chu Xuan was exactly the type of cultivator who feared neither soul nor blood essence depletion. For him, cultivation resources were plentiful, and any deficits in soul strength or blood essence could be quickly replenished through various demonic techniques and forbidden arts. With the blood beehive set aside, Chu Xuan continued to explore the contents of the storage bags. This narrative has been purloined without the author's approval. Report any appearances on Amazon. The Thousand Insects tome records the accumulated knowledge of the Thousand Insects sect on the nurturing and cultivation of thousands of different insects throughout generations of cultivators. The blood bee scripture was bestowed upon Chen Zhaofeng by the 100 Gu Daoist. Authored by the previous master of the blood beehive, it contains secret methods specifically for breeding blood bees. The 6 Extreme Gu technique, a superior foundation establishment stage technique, is a closely guarded secret of the Thousand Insects sect. It involves nurturing 6 types of insects within the cultivator's skull, torso, and limbs to enhance physical defenses. Impressive, impressive. Damn, I've never even heard of these 6 insects. The Greenwood True Formula, also a superior foundation establishment stage technique, is one of the main methods practiced by the Imperial Spirit Mountain. Ah, so it was the Chen family who stole this technique from Imperial Spirit Mountain, no wonder they were annihilated by them. This technique is quite balanced and fair. Unfortunately, my main cultivation technique is already the Blood Evil Demon Refining Scripture, which makes it difficult to switch. Chu Xuan marveled as he flipped through these texts. After safely storing the books, he found some metal ores in the corner of his storage bag, likely gathered by Chen Zhaofeng for crafting tools. His eyes lit up upon discovering a dark, sinister iron ore almost as tall as a person. Such a large piece of ghost evil steel. It will be perfect for incorporating into my evil soul chain. When originally forged, the evil soul chain was already equivalent to a mid-grade magic tool. Incorporating this ghost evil steel would elevate it directly to a high-grade magic tool. No wonder, being a descendant of a cultivator family does have its perks. Chu Xuan looked at his haul with a satisfied smile. Indeed, plundering always brings wealth the fastest. Having sorted the treasures, Chu Xuan next turned his attention to the blood beehive, beginning the process of refining it into his second life-bound magic tool. This required merging a small portion of his soul and blood essence into the magic tool. Within a day, he successfully integrated his life mark into the blood beehive, transforming it into his own. He then felt the queen egg at the heart of the blood beehive, rapidly awakening under the nourishment of surging spiritual qi. In just a few moments, a pale, tender young queen bee emerged from the egg. For now, Chu Xuan needed to nourish the young queen with blood pearls. Once matured and after producing its first batch of worker bees, it would command them to gather flesh and produce blood honey to sustain its existence. As the number of worker bees and the stored blood honey increased, Chu Xuan could leverage this to accelerate his cultivation. After all, the energy contained within the same volume of blood honey far surpassed that in blood pearls and large blood pearls. Moreover, at this critical juncture, many were willing to pay dearly for such treasures that could directly enhance one's strength. Seizing this opportunity, Chu Xuan fired up his furnace and began integrating the ghost evil steel into his evil soul chain. Reforging a magic tool required immense effort, but Chu Xuan was unlike other cultivators, he had ample time. Moreover, with the immense merit he had accumulated, his lifespan had already been significantly extended by the fates. One day later, the disappearance of 7 Foundation establishment cultivators from the Thousand Insects sect spread like a storm across the battlefield. After all, these were 7 cultivators of considerable standing. Their vanishing significantly weakened the defensive capabilities of the Thousand Insects sect across various regions. The cultivators of the Heavenly Seal sect could easily surmise that they must have perished. The demise of 7 Foundation establishment cultivators within a single day was an exceedingly rare occurrence. Even late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't typically dispatch so many at once. It must have been the work of 2 or 3 late-stage cultivators acting together. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Speculation was rife about who could have slain these 7 cultivators, and in the meantime, regardless of who had struck the blow, the morale among the Heavenly Seal sect cultivators surged tremendously. Within the span of 7 days, they overran 2 subordinate factions of the Thousand Insects sect, the Blood Bee Cave and the Centipede Manor, and pushed the front line over 1,000 miles inward, nearly reaching the gates of the Thousand Insects sect itself. This advance unsettled not only the native cultivators of the Thousand Insects sect but also those who had been covertly fanning the flames of this war, inciting further conflict. Now, they too could no longer sit idly by. In the hall of the Thousand Insects sect, a masked cultivator took a seat. At the head of the hall sat an elderly man with white hair and a beard, none other than the 100 Gu Daoist, one of the sect's golden core cultivators. The 100 Gu Daoist growled, "I need 1,000 beast spirit talismans, not one less. The survival of our sect hangs in the balance." The corners of the masked cultivator's mouth twitched. Did you think beast spirit talismans were mere scraps of paper, easily produced in the thousands? Struggling to maintain a smile, the masked cultivator replied, "Fellow Daoist, 1,000 talismans is too many. At most, we can provide 300. But as a friend, I can offer from my own resources 10 sets of Foundation Establishment killing arrays and 50 mid to high-grade Foundation Establishment magic tools. How does that sound?" The expression of the 100 Gu Daoist softened slightly. After a pause, he said, "Didn't your sect say they would pressure the Heavenly Seal sect to pull back some of their cultivators? If the Heavenly Seal sect continues their current offensive, our lower-ranked cultivators won't last long." The masked cultivator smiled slightly, "That has already been arranged. If nothing goes wrong, within half a month the Heavenly Seal sect will slow their assault and recall Zhao Wuya and Huan Yuanwu to their headquarters, replacing them with 2 other golden core cultivators. You can rest assured." The 100 Gu Daoist nodded slightly, "Very well then." The masked cultivator then produced a jade slip and flicked it towards him. "The matter you asked me to look into has some developments. Your disciple, Chen Zhaofeng, intentionally spread the word that he was trapped at Ironwire Mountain. The leading disciples of the Extreme Yin Cave, Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong, along with the cultivator Zhou Yu from the Heavenly Seal sect, went to his aid. However, when they returned to the Extreme Yin Cave, they were accompanied by an additional person, Chu Xuan, the 4th disciple of the Extreme Yin Cave, who had been missing for several months. The deaths of your disciple and the 7 foundation establishment cultivators are closely tied to them. This jade slip contains their information. The 100 Gu Daoist pressed the jade slip to his forehead and, moments later, crushed it in his hand. Veins throbbed on his forehead as his anger surged. It was indeed those foundation establishment cultivators from the Xuanming cave. I must avenge my disciple. The masked cultivator encouraged, those young upstarts deserve death, and their master, Xuanming, even more so. If you are willing to play a part in a ploy, I assure you we can eliminate Xuanming. Once Xuanming is dead, those younglings from the Xuanming cave will be at your mercy. The 100 Gu Daoist's gaze sharpened, is that so? The masked cultivator nodded emphatically, truly. The Imperial Spirit Mountain only wants that magic treasure. The 100 Gu Daoist clenched his teeth, his expression dark and undecided. However, the masked cultivator remained composed. He knew the 100 Gu Daoist's character well and was confident in his agreement. Very well. I agree. How shall we proceed? Leaning closer, the masked cultivator's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light, whispering the plan, here's what we'll do. When the time comes, I'll give you the signal. It will be a trap. Unauthorized usage. This narrative is on Amazon without the author's consent. Report any sightings. Moments later, the 100 Gu Daoist burst into laughter. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Let's proceed with this plan. You righteous cultivators sure know how to set a trap for someone to fall into. The masked cultivator smiled slightly, unfazed by the remark. At the nameless market, Chu Xuan, disguised as a gaunt middle-aged man, mingled among the crowd. The market had expanded significantly since his last visit months ago. Being near the boundaries of the Xuanming cave, the order here was maintained by the Sect's cultivators. With a golden core cultivator like Xuanming nearby, few dared to cause trouble. See the novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Some cultivators no longer bothered with disguises and openly used their real identities to purchase blood pearls, goo insects, corpse puppets, and ghosts. Clearly, as the war progressed, many from the Heavenly Seal sect had shed their pretense of upholding the righteous path. If it meant gaining strength, embracing the demonic path was a small price to pay. It was likely that the sect's golden core cultivators had turned a blind eye to these practices, perhaps even engaging in similar methods themselves. Uncle Master greeted a cultivator at the market entrance, bowing respectfully. Chu Xuan nodded slightly, casually handing over several storage bags. Sell these for me. He glanced at the man and chuckled lightly. Not bad, Qi refining level 7. The man, Chengge, could barely conceal his excitement, all thanks to the spiritual stones Uncle Master gave me last time. They helped me survive several battles and even led to some fortuitous encounters, pushing me into the late stage. He then sighed, sadly. Senior brothers Wei Hua and Bai Feng were not so fortunate, they perished in the war. I heard their bodies were likely strung up by ironwire worms. Chengge shuddered at the thought. Chu Xuan nodded solemnly, feeling a pang of melancholy. Qi refining cultivators were the lowest stratum in the cultivation world. In the ongoing war between the Heavenly Seal sect and the native sects of Wu province, they likely fell every moment. Chengge continued, Senior brother Xuanming is striving hard, now at Qi refining level 8, above me. Even the elder has said that Xuanming might have a 10 to 20% chance of reaching the foundation establishment stage. He chuckled bitterly. As for me, that's unlikely. I'm already 39, and my potential is nearly depleted. Reaching the late stage of Qi refining is satisfying enough. In a few years, I plan to go to Plain City to establish a family, hoping to bring some spiritual seedlings to the Xuanming cave. Chu Xuan nodded gently. Qi refining cultivators had lifespans not much different from ordinary humans. If they couldn't reach foundation establishment by 60, the likelihood of advancing afterward was minimal. Thus, many Qi refining cultivators chose to leave their sects after 60 to start their own cultivation families. For Chengge, starting to accumulate familial heritage early was a wise move, providing him with a satisfying resolution to his cultivation journey. Chu Xuan felt a pang of wistfulness as he listened to Chen Ji's plans and apologies. If it weren't for his blood mirror, which allowed him to traverse between two realms, even if he managed to cleanse his demonic cultivator identity by luck, he might end up like Chen Gu, establishing a cultivation family and ending his journey with regrets after a century. Chen Gu covered his mouth and whispered, "I apologize, Uncle Master, for speaking out of turn and delaying your time." Chu Xuan waved a hand dismissively, "No matter, go on with your business." With a casual gesture, he sent Bao to accompany Chen Gu. Chen Gu nodded and took his leave, setting up his stall on the territory of Qi refining cultivators. Chu Xuan continued leisurely through the market, making his way to a tea house at the center of the market. Along the way, he overheard numerous Qi refining cultivators discussing the current state of the war. "If you ask me, it's definitely Duan Feiping who is under Ancestor Zhu Taigi's command. He's a formidable cultivator at the 7th level of Foundation establishment. It's not necessarily him. Zhao Wuya's top disciple, Wang Jianyu, is also at the 7th level of the Foundation establishment and is a master of stealth and assassination. Maybe he infiltrated the Thousand Insects sect and wiped out those 7 cultivators in one fell swoop." You're forgetting about the third of the Heavenly Seal trio, Han Luyun, who's also at the 7th level. It's hard to say, it could also be a group of 6th level Foundation establishment masters teaming up to take down those from the Thousand Insects sect in one go. Chapter 94, Returning to the Market, Encountering an Old Friend Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chu Xuan absorbed the surrounding voices into his ears. Duan Feiping, Wang Jianyu, and Han Luyun, these 3 names he had heard of in passing. They were celebrated as once-in-a-generation prodigies within the Heavenly Seal sect, collectively known as the 3 Scions of the Heavenly Seal. It was widely believed among the sect's Golden Core cultivators that, barring unforeseen circumstances, they were destined to tread the path of the Golden Core. Among them, Duan Feiping possessed an ultimate grade Thunder spiritual root, and Wang Jianyu an ultimate grade Wind spiritual root. Both these types of spiritual roots were mutant varieties, inherently more powerful than the traditional 5-element spiritual roots. Undoubtedly, below the Golden Core echelon of the Heavenly Seal sect, these 2 were the strongest. Even cultivators at the 8th level of Foundation establishment, of merely average talent, were no match for them. Many advances on the war fronts had been tied to their endeavors. Han Liuyun's talent was slightly inferior, being endowed with a superior grade water spiritual root. As the third among the 3 Scions of the Heavenly Seal, he always ranked last, seldom contending with the other 2. However, Chu Xuan had no personal interactions with them, his understanding was purely based on hearsay. Before long, he approached the tea house. Despite his absence of 5 months, the establishment remained unchanged. However, the Qi refining cultivators guarding the entrance had been replaced several times over. SE the novelfire.ne, T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Upon his arrival, displaying the aura of a Foundation establishment cultivator, a slender female cultivator immediately escorted him to the 3rd floor. "May I ask, Senior, are you here to buy or to sell?" Chu Xuan responded casually, "Both. I have magic tools, cultivation techniques, blood beads, and goo insects for sale." Hearing this, the female cultivator promptly presented a finely crafted mirror. "Senior, you may use this to transmit messages, specifying what you have and what you need. If any of the Foundation establishment cultivators are interested, they will initiate contact with you." Chu Xuan was intrigued by the mirror. It had no defensive capabilities, but it was well suited for private transactions and communication. However, one could not be too careful. The creator of the mirror might have left a backdoor in its design. He chuckled lightly. "What is this mirror called?" "Mirror of the 100 Fish," the cultivator replied respectfully. Chu Xuan nodded and submerged his consciousness into it. He immediately found himself transformed into a small orange fish, swimming in the mirror. After just a few strokes, he saw a string of bubbles passing by. With a gentle tap, one of them emitted a repetitive message, "I want a top-grade magic tool, I want a top-grade magic tool." Chu Xuan rolled his eyes. I want one too, he thought. Currently, he had only 2 such items himself. Then, he tried forming a bubble of his own. A high-grade offensive magic tool, related to goo insects. Numerous blood beads, large blood beads. I need superior foundation establishment stage techniques and spells. He continuously blew several bubbles. Yet, no one responded. Just as Chu Xuan was about to retract his divine consciousness, he suddenly saw a bubble flying towards him. A voice emanated from within. I want the high-grade magic tool. I'm on my way now. Another bubble flew towards him shortly after. The story has been stolen. If detected on Amazon, report the violation. Blood beads, large blood beads, I want them all. I'll be at the tea house shortly. Chu Xuan smiled. A female cultivator respectfully served him tea and pastries. Moments later, a burly cultivator and a gaunt cultivator arrived one after the other. Chu Xuan's gaze sharpened. Coincidentally, he recognized both men. The burly cultivator had slightly altered his eyebrows, nose, and mouth. However, Chu Xuan's mastery in disguise techniques was exceptional. He recognized at a glance that this man was the same Hanser-named burly cultivator from several months ago. Back then, he had purchased the Nurturing Evil array and the illustrated guide to demonic arrays from him. After 5 months of warfare, this man had remarkably survived. Clearly, he possessed some real strength. As for the gaunt cultivator, he was Lu Yin, a disciple under Zhao Wuya's command. Initially, Lu Zhenxiong had facilitated a connection, hoping Chu Xuan would foster good relations with Xing Chongqing and Lu Yin, and perhaps purchase a couple of second-grade goo from Lu Yin. Yet, Lu Yin, disregarding the long-standing friendship between Zhao Wuya and Wan Wuying, both golden core cultivators, refused any discount, instead demanding a high price. In the end, the 2 parties parted ways amicably. The burly cultivator was about to speak with a hearty laugh when Lu Yin, unable to wait, interjected, "Where is that goo-related top-grade magic tool? I want it. Bring it forth at once." Chu Xuan smiled slightly and took out a magic tool. He calmly stated, Ice Toad Bell, a top-grade offensive magic tool, greatly enhances the attacking desire of the Ice Toad. Ice Toad is naturally adept with ice powers. For many cultivators born with variant or ice spiritual roots, Ice Toad was a treasure beyond measure. For goo cultivators, Ice Toad also served as an excellent means of control. Lu Yin's eyes flickered with pleasure, yet he gave nothing away, so it's the Ice Toad Bell, barely passable, I suppose. I have a Blood Fury True technique and a Bone Transformation method here, both more valuable than your Ice Toad Bell. Which one would you like? Blood Fury True technique is a practice from the Blood Fury Sect. Bone Transformation method, a practice from the Bone Refining Matter. These were the techniques Chu Xuan sought from the native sects of Wu province. However, Lu Yin claimed that these techniques surpassed the value of the Ice Toad Bell. Clearly, he was aiming to extort him. This fellow was indeed avaricious. Chu Xuan scoffed, shaking his head dismissively, "Fellow Daoist, don't assume I lack knowledge, these 2 techniques are merely inferior foundation establishment practices. Even among the cultivators of the Blood Fury Sect and the Bone Refining Matter, only those of mediocre aptitude would engage in such techniques. To compare them with the superior magic tool, the Ice Toad Bell, is laughable, isn't it?" Unexpectedly outmatched in expertise, Lu Yin was seen through. Slightly embarrassed, he coughed before asking, "What exactly do you desire, fellow Daoist?" Chu Xuan nonchalantly replied, "Bring out all the techniques, and I will choose for myself." Lu Yin frowned but nodded. With a flip of his palm, 7 thin booklets were neatly arranged in front of him. These 7 booklets, each only a few pages thick, were copied specifically for temporary viewing. This was mainly to prevent someone from running off with the manuscripts. Chu Xuan's gaze swept over each booklet in turn. Meanwhile, Lu Yin discreetly watched Chu Xuan's eyes. During trades, if the other's gaze lingered on a particular booklet for longer, or if they revisited it multiple times, he could roughly determine the urgency of their need. He would then use this to extort an exorbitant price. He had employed this tactic many times before, always with unfailing success. However, this time, Luin found that he had miscalculated. Chu Xuan's inspection time was almost identical for each booklet, seemingly uninterested in any. These two are not bad, Chu Xuan casually pointed at two of them, picking them up to browse. Lu Yin's eyes lit up, ready to inflate the price. Yet, after reading a few lines, Chu Xuan shook his head and put them back down. Never mind, these don't quite suit me. Let's look further. Lu Yin was left speechless. Chu Xuan was selective, going back and forth. Eventually, he settled on a single booklet. Just this one, he said casually. The technique he chose was from the Blood Fury Sect. The Boiling Blood True Decree. This technique, somewhat akin to the soul refining technique, lacked defensive capabilities but could enhance the regenerative properties of blood, including vital essence. Most Blood Fury Sect spells utilized blood as a medium. Hence, nearly all Blood Fury Sect cultivators chose the Boiling Blood Decree as a supplementary practice. And the Boiling Blood True Decree was an advanced version of that. Only the Golden Core cultivators of the Blood Fury Sect, or the most talented among the Foundation establishment cultivators, were qualified to practice it. As for the value of this technique, Lu Yin glanced over, about to raise the price. Chu Xuan calmly stated, the Boiling Blood True Decree needs to be paired with blood techniques to be most effective. Guess how many Heavenly Seal Sect cultivators practice blood techniques in secret? Chapter 95, Boiling Blood True Decree and the Body Protecting Golden Will Decree Plus, Turn Off Reset. The Heavenly Seal Sect, as one of the 5 orthodox sects, largely eschewed demonic practices prior to the outbreak of war against the native sects of Wu province. Regardless of their clandestine use, they never openly revealed any affinity for such methods. However, as the war intensified, they were compelled to openly acknowledge these practices. Despite this shift, very few cultivators actually practiced demonic techniques faced with the possibility of losing Chu Xuan as a buyer. With no other potential buyers in sight, Lu Yin felt he had no choice but to reluctantly agree. Alright, then. Chu Xuan casually pointed to another thin booklet. I have some interest in the techniques of the Golden Dragon Temple. Include this method as a bonus, and I'll take it too. He was referring to a Golden Dragon Temple's Foundation establishment stage defensive technique, Body Protecting Golden Will Decree. Lu Yin was irked. How could he demand even more? The Hanser named Cultivator, who had been sitting aside enjoying tea and pastries, chuckled and said, fellow Taoist spirit insect, why not just throw it in as a bonus and sell it? After all, that technique isn't selling anyway. The Body Protecting Golden Will Decree requires significant virtue to activate, aside from the balls of the Golden Dragon Temple, who would want it? After much consideration, Lu Yin nodded reluctantly, alright, it's yours then. The transaction was completed. Lu Yin, taking the ice-toed bell, left with a look of impatience. Chu Xuan successfully acquired both the Boiling Blood True Decree and the Body Protecting Golden Will Decree. In fact, as soon as Lu Yin laid out all the booklets, Chu Xuan had set his sights on these 2 items. The Boiling Blood True Decree would allow him to accelerate the regeneration of his blood, including the crucial vital essence. This would enable him to sustain more life-bound magic tools without overtaxing himself. As for the Body Protecting Golden Will Decree, it required a foundation of virtue to activate and held little value for most cultivators. Lu Yin had certainly intended to sell it off as soon as possible. As expected, it also ended up in Chu Xuan's possession. Both techniques could serve as supplementary practices. As for the risk of cultivating too many methods leading to disordered inner breath and potentially succumbing to demonic possession. What a joke. The demonic way cares little for such concerns. Even if the day of falling into demonic possession came, there were plenty more demonic means to suppress conflicting inner energies. Otherwise, how would those senior demons have survived? After Lu Yin departed, only Chu Xuan and the Hanser named Cultivator remained on the 3rd floor of the tea house. The Hanser named Cultivator smiled, fellow Taoist, it seems you have obtained what you wanted. Are you interested in doing more business with me? Chu Xuan asked casually, what else do you have? The Hanser named Cultivator smiled slightly. I do not only have demonic techniques but also deal in intelligence. Chu Xuan's eyes flashed. Intelligence is also valuable, but how can I know the worth of your information? This story originates from Royal Road. Ensure the author gets the support they deserve by reading it there. See the novel, ire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Hanser named Cultivator sipped his tea before speaking. The leader of this war is about to change. I know the exact time of the change and who will take over next. Is that valuable enough? Chu Xuan was intrigued inwardly, but his expression remained unreadable. That's passable. The Hanser named Cultivator chuckled. I also know who's been fanning the flames behind this war. And who they plan to target next. Chu Xuan nodded slightly. Now that is interesting. He took out 10 large blood beads and laid them out in a line. Let's hear the first piece. The Hanser named Cultivator casually pocketed them and then spoke. Within half a month, the offensive will pause. Zhao Wuya and Huang Yuanwu, 2 Golden Core elders, will be recalled to the headquarters, to be replaced by Zhu Taiji, Guozhan, and Chu Qiong, 3 other Golden Core elders. Chu Xuan's expression remained unchanged. He had heard these names mentioned by Zhao Wuya and Wan Wuying during his first visit to Flying Mountain Hall. Among them was Zhu Taiji. Zhu was against the incorporation of the extreme Yin cave into the Heavenly Seal sect, believing that demonic cultivators would always be demonic and should be eradicated without exception. Now, with the Thousand Insects sect on the verge of destruction, this crucial juncture saw the withdrawal of Zhao Wuya and Huang Yuanwu, to be replaced by Zhu Taiji and others. It seemed that the number of Golden Core cultivators had increased. But the implications and the intricacies were likely far more complicated. Chu Xuan pondered thoughtfully. Such a sudden change by the Heavenly Seal sect would undoubtedly affect the cultivators of the Extreme Yin lineage. The Hanser named Cultivator smiled warmly. Fellow Daoist, do you wish to hear more of the intelligence? Chu Xuan shook his head. No need, the transaction is concluded. With those words, he rose without hesitation and left. The Hanser named Cultivator stood there, somewhat baffled. Not interested? He just walked away? The subsequent intelligence was indeed more intriguing. Yet, this person decisively chose not to listen. He could sell a high-grade offensive magic tool from Ironwire Mountain. I thought he might be one of the Extreme Yin Cave cultivators who had slain those 7 Ironwire Mountain Goo cultivators. But his disinterest in further information doesn't seem to align with that of an Extreme Yin Cave cultivator. This fellow is truly inscrutable. The Hanser named Cultivator muttered a few words to himself and then left the place. On his way back to the Water Curtain Cave, Chu Xuan contemplated the conflicting interests deeply. The war between the Heavenly Seal sect and the native sects of Wu province inevitably involved a third-party force, that was beyond doubt. Divine Star Sect, Golden Dragon Temple, Meowing Palace, and Imperial Spirit Mountain were all possible players. Who exactly it was, however, was irrelevant. Chu Xuan surmised that if the Hanser named Cultivator was aware, then the upper-level Golden Core cultivators surely knew as well. The purpose of this third-party force's involvement was likely not as simple as merely exhausting the Heavenly Seal sect's strength. Right. At the beginning of the war, Wan Wuying, Zhao Wuya, and Huang Yuanwu, the 3 Golden Core cultivators, snatched a precious treasure from Wu province. Could it be related to that item? Is the third-party force also coveting that treasure? Chu Xuan's eyes lit up. This hypothesis was quite plausible. Given that, the next moves of this third-party force were easy to predict. They would target the Extreme Yin Cave. More specifically, they were likely to target Wan Wuying. It seems more waves are about to be stirred. I wonder how my nominal master will handle this. If all else fails, returning to Blue Star is always an option. Chu Xuan wasn't particularly troubled. If he couldn't handle the situation, he'd simply pick up his bucket and run. He had little interest in getting involved in the petty disputes and skirmishes of Yu country. However, if after the battle he was asked to clean up the aftermath and scour the battlefield, he was quite willing to do so. It was mainly about fulfilling brotherly duties. After all, someone had to collect the bodies, right? It definitely wasn't because he coveted their corpses and storage bags. No, certainly not. Over the next few days, Chu Xuan frequently changed his appearance and visited the nameless market to sell the items he didn't need. He was not foolish enough to sell a large number of treasures at once. That would surely attract unwanted attention. And it could very likely expose his identity. The high-grade offensive magic tool from Ironwire Mountain, goo insect eggs, 1000 insects Sect technique manuscripts. These items could all point to one thing. That was the sudden disappearance of those 7000 insects Sect goo cultivators a while ago. Chu Xuan didn't want to be constantly on someone's mind. His disguise techniques were exceptionally sophisticated, and he had never been seen through. On this day, just as Chu Xuan was about to sell the last of his items, a voice transmission reached his cave dwelling. Chu Xuan, come to the cave dwelling to see me immediately. The voice belonged to his nominal master, Wan Wuying. Chu Xuan wasted no time, arriving immediately at Wan Wuying's cave dwelling. Upon his arrival, he found that Xianming, Lu Zhenxiong, and Wu Ting had already been waiting for a while. Unlike his usual composed self, seated regally upon a throne of bones, Wan Wuying was pacing before them. Seeing Chu Xuan join, he nodded slightly in acknowledgement. I used to have many disciples, and now only you four remain, Wan Wuying spoke with a grave tone. I do not wish for our lineage to die out, so there are things I need to clarify with you now. Upon hearing this, the expressions of Chu Xuan and the others turned solemn. Li Xianming responded with due respect, please speak, master. We are all ears. Wan Wuying continued evenly, several months ago, Zhao Wuya, Huang Yuanwu, and I ventured into Wu province and took a precious treasure from the 1000 insects sect. What that treasure is, I'd rather not dwell on. The important thing is that it's valuable enough to attract the covetous glances of other sections. The current war between the Heavenly Seal sect and the native sects of Wu province was supposed to end quickly, but it has been prolonged by a third-party force, which I have now confirmed to be Imperial Spirit Mountain. This revelation surprised Chu Xuan and the others, yet it also seemed entirely within reason. Following the destruction of the Infinite Sect, the righteous 5 sects divided the territory. Imperial Spirit Mountain acquired a fertile third of northern Wu province. Being the closest to Heavenly Seal sect and Wu province, it was most convenient for them to covertly influence the war. I suspected early on that someone would covet the treasure and eventually make a move against me, Wan Wuying disclosed. Soon, Zhao Wuya and Huang Yuanwu will be called back to the Heavenly Seal sect's main hall, and the new Golden Core cultivators taking their place are not particularly friendly towards our Xuanming sect. I suspect they are preparing to act. He continued, I'm telling you this so you will be more vigilant in the coming days. If they plan to strike at me, they will likely target you as well. Especially the 100 Gu Daoist from the 1000 Insects sect. He was very fond of Qin Zhaofeng, and since Qin Zhaofeng is dead, he will undoubtedly hold you responsible. Li Xianming and Lu Zhenxiong felt a chill in their hearts, while Wu Ting tasted bitterness. I didn't even participate in that battle and gained nothing from it, yet I'm still a target? Chu Xuan pondered deeply. Wan Wuying had provided timely notification, fulfilling his duty as a master. However, Chu Xuan had already sensed that dark currents were about to surge again. Unlike others, he had no qualms about escaping if necessary. But if someone really intended to strike at him, he planned to first test their strength. Presently perceived by outsiders as only a second-level foundation establishment cultivator, any aggressor would likely be a third-level foundation establishment at most. Find this and other great novels on the author's preferred platform. Support original creators. Since such opponents were essentially delivering themselves to him, there was no need to flee. A gift of a head sent from 1,000 miles away deserved acceptance, it would be impolite not to. Wan Wuying's gaze swept tenderly over the four, that is all, go back now, and be very careful. Yes, thank you, master. Chu Xuan acknowledged respectfully. After a moment of thought, Wan Wuying added, Chu Xuan, stay a moment. Once Li Xianming and the others had departed, Wan Wuying continued, Chu Xuan, you are now at the 7th level of foundation establishment, already surpassing Xuanming. I have some low-grade magic treasures, but you might find them difficult to activate, and they're less useful to you than a high-grade magic tool. Tell me, what do you need? I will do my best to provide. Chu Xuan was pleasantly surprised. It seemed his nominal master felt he had previously neglected him and was now looking to make amends. Such an offer was not to be refused lightly. After a brief pause, Chu Xuan asked somewhat boldly, Master, do you possess any flying magic tools? I find myself in need of a top-grade flying magic tool. Xuanming rolled his eyes but nodded. He flipped his hand and produced a flying shuttle radiating a faint blue light. This is the Green Shadow Shuttle, a flying magic tool I used back when I was a Foundation Establishment cultivator. It is yours now. Chu Xuan eagerly accepted it. Thank you, Master. See the novel, Fire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Go now, and take care, Xuanming nodded. Yes. Chu Xuan departed, leaving Xuanming to watch his retreating figure with a light chuckle. The Infinite Sect's approach to discipleship was hands-off. Golden Core cultivators believed that allowing disciples to grow untamed fostered the strongest, most ruthless, and most fortuitous demonic cultivators. Indeed, luck was also a part of strength. Thus, knowing that the disciples of the Xuanming cave were destined to face calamity, he had not exerted himself fully to protect them but merely warned them. He understood that the one who survived would be the strongest and luckiest. Of his 4 disciples, whoever survived, he would seriously cultivate. Upon returning to the Water Curtain Cave, Chu Xuan wasted no time in activating the Green Shadow Shuttle through the Blood Mirror. This was a top-tier flying magic tool, far superior to the Heavenly Star flying sword. Whether for slaying foes, seizing treasures, or evading pursuit, his speed would now be vastly enhanced. Few Foundation Establishment cultivators could match his pace now. Chu Xuan imprinted his soul blood on the Green Shadow Shuttle and took it for several test flights, thoroughly pleased with its performance, before finally stowing it away contentedly. The Nameless Market. In the secluded chamber of the tea house, hidden by soundproofing arrays ensuring privacy, Zhou Yu prepared for a clandestine meeting. He had been nursing severe injuries from a previous disastrous venture to Ironwire Mountain, barely saved by his stash of medicinal pills. The cost had nearly drained his resources, and he was eager for a chance to replenish his supplies through the proposed hunting mission. Soon after he settled, the gaunt figure of Luyin hurried in. With a hearty laugh, he greeted Zhou Yu, fellow Daoist Zhou. I've missed you. Zhou Yu returned the greeting with polite laughter. The two were familiar with each other from their undercover collaborations within the Heavenly Seal Sect and caught up briefly. After the pleasantries, Zhou Yu got straight to the point. Tell me, who's the target? When do we strike? Lu Yin's smile widened. You might remember them. Do you recall being mysteriously abducted by Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong of the Xuanming cave? Your injuries, too, were thanks to them. It wasn't for their insistence on dragging you to Ironwire Mountain, you wouldn't have suffered so. Zhou Yu's expression hardened. Are we targeting the Xuanming cave? They are formidable. Am I a match for them? Lu Yin nodded vigorously before smiling slyly. Indeed, we are targeting the Xuanming cave, but not Li Xuanming or Lu Zhenxiong. We picked the softest target, the weakest among them, Chu Xuan. We'll deal with him. This is an easy job with quick pay, and I thought of you immediately. Zhou Yu's heart twitched uneasily. Chosen because he was the weakest? This kind of supposedly easy job landing on him just seemed like a setup to push him into danger. However, he managed to keep his composure and instead expressed a calculated surprise. Fellow Daoist Lu, I've heard that your master Zhao Wuya has some private dealings with Xuanming of the Xuanming cave. Would he agree to you targeting them? Lu Yin laughed heartily. My master will not know of this. Whether the Xuanming lineage is wiped out or not, his agreement or disagreement is irrelevant. Zhou Yu pretended to mull over the proposal, taking his time much to Lu Yin's growing impatience. Finally, with a look of difficulty, he spoke. Fellow Daoist Lu, I believe that the cultivators of the Xuanming cave are not to be trifled with lightly. I'd rather not get involved in this murky business. Lu Yin frowned, "Are you truly not joining?" Zhou Yu gave a bitter smile, "Demonic cultivators are desperate folk, and I'm afraid they might drag me down with them in their last moments." "Let's forget it," he added, "but rest assured, I will not speak of this to anyone. I can swear a heart devil oath to that effect. After all, as you said, the injuries I bear were caused by those from the Xuanming cave." With that, he indeed made a heart devil oath. Such oaths were serious commitments, taken by Foundation establishment stage cultivators and above. Violating them often led to severe spiritual tribulations, akin to a blemish on pristine white jade, potentially obstructing a cultivator's doubt to immortality. Few dared to break a heart devil oath. Of course, these oaths mostly bound the righteous cultivators. Demonic cultivators had numerous ways to deceive or even break such oaths. Initially, Lu Yin's eyes had glinted with dangerous intent, but seeing Zhou Yu make the oath on the spot, he relaxed. Killing Zhou Yu, if it ever came to that, would require some effort. Moreover, being a Foundation establishment cultivator, Zhou Yu wasn't likely to be so easily fooled. Despite claims of having depleted his resources, who could say for sure if he wasn't still hiding something? Xianxia the novel fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Alright, fellow Daoist Zhou, you are a wise man. Until next time, Lu Yin said, and without further ado, turned and left. Watching Lu Yin's retreating figure, Zhou Yu sighed deeply. Li Xuanming, Lu Zhenxiong, Wu Teng, Chu Xuan, among the four from the Xuanming cave, you just had picked the strongest. If you don't die, who will? As days turned into months, the fierce offensive of the Heavenly Seal Sect suddenly slowed. The main combatants, Golden Core cultivators Zhao Wuya and Huang Yuanwu, were recalled by an urgent order back to the main hall. Replacing them were Zhu Taiji, Guo Zhan, and Chu Xuan, who adopted a strategy of siege without attack. It seemed they intended to starve out the Thousand Insects Sect's Gu cultivators without shedding a drop of blood, given that maintaining normal cultivation and the operation of defensive arrays consumed considerable amounts of spirit stones. Inevitably, the Thousand Insects Sect would have to surrender as their resources dwindled. The lower ranks of the cultivators didn't grasp the intentions of their superiors and could only wait helplessly. This siege tactic continued for over 2 months. Every few days, Gu cultivators from the Thousand Insects Sect made desperate attempts to break through, but all were repelled. It was clear to everyone that the Thousand Insects Sect was reaching its breaking point, likely prompting the remaining Golden Core cultivators to attempt a breakout soon. Unauthorized use. This story is on Amazon without permission from the author. Report any sightings. And indeed, when the protective mountain array of the Thousand Insects Sect flickered and dimmed completely due to the lack of spirit stones, dozens of luminous streaks suddenly shot towards the southeast, heading towards the borders of Yu country. Should they cross into Yu country, the Heavenly Seal Sect's cultivators would dare not pursue further. From the Heavenly Seal Sect's camp, 4 luminous figures promptly took flight, pursuing the escaping lights. They were Zhu Taiji, Guo Zhan, Chu Xuan, and Wan Wuying, aiming directly for the fleeing Gu cultivators. Zhu Taiji, leading the charge, called out loudly, "100 Gu Daoist, it's not too late to surrender. I guarantee you the treatment of an elder of the Heavenly Seal Sect." 100 Gu Daoist, the leader of the fleeing group, roared back defiantly, "I will never align with the demonic cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect." The Golden Core cultivators of the Heavenly Seal Sect were notably stronger than those of the Thousand Insects Sect and also faster. It was only a matter of time before 100 Gu Daoist and his companions would be caught. "I'll cover our retreat," 100 Gu Daoist bellowed. The Foundation establishment disciples of the Thousand Insects Sect were forced to turn and block Zhu Taiji's group. These disciples were controlled by Gu insects implanted by their Golden Core masters. If they did not turn to confront the attackers, the Gu within them would devour them from the inside. Yet, if they managed to hold off the Heavenly Seal Sect's Golden Core cultivators, there was a chance they could survive. "Out of my way!" Wan Wuying waved his hand, sending shadows sprawling and forcefully scattering the Foundation establishment Gu cultivators. Their primary targets were 100 Gu Daoist and the other 2 Golden Core cultivators. If they failed to eliminate these three, the threat of stealth attacks and curses by these surviving masters would continue to plague the Heavenly Seal sect. The disciples of the Thousand Insects sect housed numerous goo within their bodies. Killing them would release the insects like flesh-burrowing maggots, which would not only attack but also delay the pursuit. Thus, it was more prudent to leave these Foundation establishment cultivators to the Heavenly Seal sect's own disciples to deal with. With a whistling sound, over 20 streaks of light surged forth from the Heavenly Seal sect's encampment, targeting the Foundation establishment goo cultivators. Chu Xuan was among them. Golden Core fought Golden Core, Foundation establishment clashed with Foundation establishment. Boom! 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 The sounds of battle between Golden Core cultivators echoed through the sky, sending terrifying shockwaves in all directions. Wherever these forces passed, towering trees were instantly reduced to splinters. The Foundation establishment cultivators tactically retreated while fighting, keen to distance themselves from the battlefield of the more powerful Golden Core cultivators. None wished to be inadvertently killed by the stray shockwaves. Chu Xuan faced off against a goo cultivator from the Thousand Insects sect, swiftly withdrawing from the main fray. He did not reveal his full strength, maintaining the guise of a middling second-level Foundation establishment cultivator. His opponent from the Thousand Insects sect, in stark contrast, unleashed all his hidden abilities, fighting with flushed cheeks and fiery ears. Once he had completely disengaged from the battle and found himself unobserved, Chu Xuan employed the Evil Demon Claw, instantly crushing the life out of the Thousand Insects sect cultivator and casting his body into the corpse-nurturing tower. A few flickers later, Chu Xuan vanished using the Evil escape technique. Shortly after his disappearance, two figures arrived together, both familiar faces, Lu Yin and Jing Chongqing. The two were senior brother disciples within the same sect and shared a close bond. After failing to enlist Zhou Yu for the hunt, Lu Yin turned to Jing Chongqing, who readily agreed. Hunting demonic cultivators was a lucrative affair, rarely as easy as taking down a second-level Foundation establishment soft target like Chu Xuan. Where is he? Wasn't he just here? Jing Chongqing furrowed his brow. They had clearly seen Chu Xuan engaging with the goo cultivator from the Thousand Insects sect as they entered the woods. Lu Yin sneered, "No hurry, I have a scent tracker worm. It will find him soon." He then produced a plump worm and allowed it to sniff a low-grade magic tool. This magic tool? Jing Chongqing expressed his surprise. Lu Yin offered a sinister laugh, bought it from Wu Ting, it was once used by Chu Xuan. That fellow has been acting suspicious and has already betrayed the Xuanming cave. He explained, the scent tracker worm would stand erect in the direction of its target, growing more upright the closer it was. Jing Chongqing, astounded, exclaimed, "What? Why is it standing as straight as a chopstick? And it's pointing behind us?" The next moment, Jing Chongqing was shocked, why am I falling toward the ground? And whose headless corpse is that? Junior brother, what's happening? But he could no longer hear Lu Yin's response. Darkness and cold had already enveloped him completely. With a thud, the headless body fell forward, blood gushing forth. Search *theovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Yin's eyes widened in horror as he instinctively activated his defensive magic tool to protect his back, while quickly casting a defensive spell. His body's iron shell rapidly secreted saliva that flowed with his blood, swiftly enhancing his bodily defenses. Clang! A dark chain cleaved through the air toward him. Lu Yin spat out blood and was flung back several yards. Crack! His defensive magic tool shattered into pieces. The iron shell also screamed pitifully as its shell burst apart, its fluid splattering. Clearly, it too was no more. Lu Yin was utterly terrified. In just one strike, he had been stripped of all his defenses. His assailant was certainly not a mere early-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, this must be a mid-stage, or even a high-level cultivator, possibly at the 5th or 6th layer. You're not dead yet. A voice floated softly from the woods. Luin, clutching his chest, scrambled to his feet and pleaded, "Fellow Daoist, we have no grievances. May I ask for mercy to spare my life?" The figure in the woods slowly approached, his face becoming visible in the sunlight. "Who says we have no grievances? You came here to kill me." Chu Xuan smiled. Luin was dumbstruck. He could never have imagined that the person who had just killed Chongqing and destroyed all his defenses with a single strike was Chu Xuan. Wasn't he just a second-level Foundation establishment cultivator? Damn. The intelligence was wrong. Luin took a deep breath and roared, "Chu Xuan, I will fight you to the death." With that, he summoned the ice-toad bell, ready to attack. But in the next moment, he kicked off the ground. He bolted away with a speed far exceeding his previous effort, employing an escape technique as he fled. Chu Xuan was speechless. The slogans were louder than one another. But when it came to fleeing, they were faster than one another. However, Chu Xuan did not give chase. As Luin looked back after running several dozen yards, seeing Chu Xuan still standing in the same spot, he burst out laughing. "Ha!" Luin exclaimed, his voice dripping with astonishment. He never expected I'd feign battle only to flee. I must quickly inform others of Chu Xuan's true strength. His words were abruptly cut short as a dagger, formed from gloomy nether flames, plunged into his heart. The nether fire erupted within him, extinguishing his life force in an instant. If you spot this story on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. Lu Yin's head turned stiffly only to see a grotesque, ugly face looming behind him. A corpse puppet. With a thud, he collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Bao, carrying Lu Yin's body, scurried back to Chu Xuan's side. Chu Xuan nodded in approval and stored the body in the corpse-nurturing tower. After all, they were fellow Sect brothers, and it seemed only proper to tend to the dead. "You little rascal, hiding a piece of flesh, eh?" Chu Xuan noticed Bao surreptitiously chewing on a piece of flesh and couldn't help but laugh. Bao, caught in the act, sheepishly smiled and quickly swallowed the piece of flesh he had torn from Luin. "Come, let's see how our two senior brothers are doing," Chu Xuan suggested. "If I'm not mistaken, Wu Tong, that traitor, is likely to strike against them." Chu Xuan retracted Bao into the corpse-nurturing tower, his form ghosting through the woods. Yet, he abruptly stopped after darting forward a short distance. The ground ahead seemed uneven upon closer inspection. Chu Xuan noticed that trees and rocks, the dark, unseen places, were studded with array flags. A concealed deadly array lay ahead, just waiting for him to step into it. Chu Xuan surveyed his surroundings and calmly called out, "You might as well show yourself." Moments later, no one appeared, but a poisoned needle pierced the air, aiming directly at Chu Xuan's vital point. Anticipating this, the evil soul chain instantly positioned itself in front of him, deflecting the green glowing poison needle. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Several more poison needles shot toward him, each from a more cunning angle. Chu Xuan's eyes flickered as he sensed movement behind him. The evil soul chain, like a massive black python, precisely blocked all incoming needles. Suddenly, the mystic iron shield materialized behind Chu Xuan, catching and splitting in two a thick poison needle aimed at his head. "Found you!" Chu Xuan declared sharply. His evil demon claw tore through the air, grasping fiercely and obliterating a large tree behind him. As the tree crashed down, scattering wood chips and leaves, a muffled grunt was heard. A robust figure tumbled out. Chu Xuan, relentless, pointed a finger, and two sinister shadows, Hu and Bao, charged forward. However, just as the two corpse puppets lunged, their opponent threw something, and two shadows, a tiger soul and a wolf soul sprang into action. Hu and Bao immediately tangled with the tiger and wolf spirits, a chaotic fray unfolding. Chu Xuan's gaze sharpened as he employed the evil escape, swiftly closing the distance between himself and his opponent. With a grand gesture, the myriad souls banner unfurled, unleashing vengeful spirits and ferocious ghosts that tore through the air. The adversary's face registered shock, his eyes widening as if he had no power to resist. However, Chu Xuan, narrowing his eyes, sensed something amiss. Just as the spectral assailants were about to descend upon the robust cultivator, he uttered a low cry, his body bursting forth with golden light, forming a small, radiant protective halo around him, the body protecting golden wheel. This golden wheel, though modest in size and brilliance, was unmistakably the body-protecting golden wheel decree from the Golden Dragon Temple, a natural bane of ghosts and malevolent spirits. The ghost shrieked in agony, like moths to a flame, instantly incinerated upon contact. Only a few stronger spirits managed to escape the conflagration, retreating back into the myriad souls banner. Chu Xuan frowned deeply. As the spirits returned, providing a momentary distraction by obscuring his opponent's line of sight, he pointed decisively. The evil soul chain suddenly materialized, its speed erupting to its peak. It slithered like a terrifying black python, nearly binding the robust cultivator. Buzz! A sudden burst of flame sounded as another talisman on the cultivator's body burned to ash. Seizing the opportunity, he quickly widened the gap between them while shouting, "Two!" As Chu Xuan advanced, the ground beneath him vibrated unexpectedly. A demonic earth-colored beast burst forth, striking Chu Xuan from an unforeseen angle. Clang! The blood-evil shadow automatically appeared, thwarting this cunning and venomous attack. Struck by the blood-evil shadow, the beast howled pitifully, spewing a mouthful of blood before burrowing back into the earth and vanishing from sight. The two stood apart, 100 zhang between them, neither making a move. Chu Xuan regarded the robust cultivator with a mix of awe and suspicion. The other, breathing heavily, returned the gaze with equal parts astonishment and doubt. In just a few exchanges, Chu Xuan realized that this robust cultivator was no ordinary foe like Luyin or Chongqing. He must be a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, like himself. Was this person also sent to kill him? Chu Xuan was not confident he could quickly kill his opponent. Judging by the opponent's demeanor, it seemed they were also uncertain about continuing the fight and securing a kill. Continuing would mean both sides would have to reveal more of their trump cards. The benefits gained from killing at that point might not even outweigh the resources expended during the fight. It was a classic case of the gains not justifying the efforts. The opponent's expression changed several times before they let out a laugh. A misunderstanding, just a misunderstanding. Let's stop fighting, I'm leaving. Chu Xuan barked, "You can't leave, Li Xuanming, don't approve." The other person paused, "You're not Li Xuanming, you're Chu Xuan." Chu Xuan challenged, "Then who are you?" With a sigh of resignation, the other replied, "I'm just a hired hand, I didn't expect you to be so strong. I give up, I'll just go back and kill my employer instead." Chu Xuan insisted, "If you don't give me a name, we continue fighting." The person sighed lightly, "Fine, I'll tell you. I am Wang Jianyu." Chu Xuan scoffed, "Wang Jianyu is Zhao Wuya's foremost disciple, an ultimate grade win spiritual root, and a swordsman. There's not even a hint of swordsmanship about you." The man shrugged, "You caught me. Actually, I'm Duan Feiping." Chu Xuan shook his head, "You're lying again. Duan Feiping is likely out there trying to rob Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong." The man smacked his lips in resignation, "Alright, I'll tell you. I'm Han Luyun. Can we stop fighting now? There are plenty of opportunities to profit from chaos right now, and every second wasted is a loss of many spirit stones. I don't want to keep this up." Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. So it was Han Luyun. He hadn't expected that. This Han Luyun seemed even better at concealing his true capabilities than the rumors suggested. Perhaps this man was not inferior to either Duan Feiping or Wang Jianyu. "Leave, then." Han Luyun employed a fleeing technique, disappearing in a few flashes. Chu Xuan stood in place for a while, then sneered, "You clearly haven't left, you're still ambushing me." Silence all around. After a long while, Chu Xuan rubbed his stiff legs and muttered, "No tricks came out, it seems he really left." He then retracted his magical tools, Hu and Bao, into the tower and quickly departed. Wu Tong, that traitor who had betrayed him, had to be dealt with. Vengeance should not be delayed, it had to be exacted today. Elsewhere, a frantic escape unfolded. Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong dashed through the terrain, desperation marked by the trail of blood they left behind. Li Xuanming bore a vivid scar across his chest while Lu Zhenxiong's side bled profusely, his complexion deathly pale. Behind them, 4 figures relentlessly pursued, led by none other than Wu Ting. Senior brother Li, senior brother Lu, no need to run anymore, just stay, Wu Ting called out, his body gliding lightly across the ground like a swallow, closing the gap between them with each bound, yet never getting too close. Clearly, he was wary of any last-ditch defenses Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong might have. This story has been stolen from Royal Road. If you read it on Amazon, please report it. Don't let his voice disturb you, he definitely has something up his sleeve, Li Xuanming whispered urgently. Gritting his teeth, Lu Zhenxiong nodded, acknowledging the wisdom in those words. Senior brother Lu seems to have taken a particular interest in Chu Xuan, so I might as well tell you that Chu Xuan is probably dead by now, Wu Ting sneered mockingly. Han Luyun of the Heavenly Seal Trio took the spirit stones to personally execute him. Even with Chu Xuan's 7th-level foundation establishment capabilities, he couldn't have escaped death. A cruel smile curled Wu Ting's lips as Lu Zhenxiong's eyes flashed with grief. He roared, "You have betrayed our master. Betrayed the Extreme Cave. You deserve death, Wu Ting, I regret ever saving your life." Wu Ting laughed coldly, "It should be said that the master betrayed me, betrayed the Extreme Cave. If he hadn't joined forces with Zhao Wuya and Huang Yuanwu to invade Wu province and steal that precious treasure, would it have attracted the covetous eyes of Imperial Spirit Mountain? Would it have led to Zhu Taiji and others banding together to hunt him down? How else would I have been forced to seek a new allegiance?" The ferocity in his eyes was unmistakable. "I was pushed into this corner." Just then, thunder tore through the air, a bolt striking unexpectedly. Li Xuanming and Lu Zhenxiong's pupils contracted as they hastily dodged. Li Xuanming, less severely injured, narrowly escaped, but Lu Zhenxiong was struck directly on his left shoulder by the sudden thunderbolt. He grunted in pain, his body hurling through the forest and breaking several large trees along his path. Li Xuanming, filled with alarm, looked ahead to see a tall figure in blue robes standing there. The face was stern, the gaze indifferent. He knew this face all too well. It was Duan Feiping, the chief disciple under Zhu Taiji and one of the Heavenly Seal Trio. Wu Ting let out a sinister chuckle. "Senior brother Duan, Li Xuanming is yours to deal with, I'll take care of Lu Zhenxiong." With that, he and 2 other Foundation Establishment cultivators chased after Lu Zhenxiong. 2 other Foundation Establishment cultivators were closing in on Li Xuanming. Without sparing a glance at Duan Feiping, Li Xuanming swiftly turned and charged at the 2 behind him. With a gesture, a black banner whipped violently through the air. Race and fierce ghosts roared as they surged toward the duo. Caught off guard by Li Xuanming's swift decisiveness, they were forced to conjure their defensive magic tools for protection. Search *the Oval Fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Li Xuanming took advantage of the moment to slip past them, fleeing into the distance. The wraiths and ghosts ferociously pounced but passed right through them. It was all an illusion. "Fools," Duan Feiping muttered coldly as he brushed past them, lightning flickering under his feet. His speed was extraordinary, akin to a deity striding on thunder. In the blink of an eye, he caught up to Li Xuanming. "Thunderclap strike!" Duan Feiping shouted, pressing down with his finger. Countless points of lightning, like droplets of rain, overwhelmed Li Xuanming, forcing him to dodge desperately. Boom, boom, boom. The thunderclap strikes blasted trees and rocks, sending splinters and shards flying everywhere. Each dodge slowed Li Xuanming down, and the debris pinpointed his location. "Die," Duan Feiping said emotionlessly, pressing down with another finger. A colossal, vague finger descended toward Li Xuanming. The grooves on the finger's surface resembled mountainous ravines, giving it the appearance of a giant's finger rather than one formed of condensed spiritual energy. Li Xuanming roared and a small shield appeared in front of him along with a blood demon shadow. Crack! The shield shattered. Crack! The shadow was obliterated. Li Xianming spewed blood and flew backward, crashing through numerous giant trees. Unlike Chu Xuan, who had sufficient evil qi to craft 3 blood evil shadows for protection, Li Xianming had struggled over the years to forge just one, which Xuanfaping now effortlessly destroyed. The gap between the mid and late stages of the foundation establishment was truly vast. Just then, a robust, dark figure burst from the trees, drenched in blood. It was Lu Zhenxiong, who had already suffered a blow from Xuanfaping. Having activated his black beast demon body, Lu's frame was massive and beast-like, covered in black fur, with immense strength and vibrant vitality. It was this black beast demon body that allowed him to temporarily fend off Wu Ting and 3 others, reuniting with Li Xianming. "Run!" Lu Zhenxiong roared, grabbing Li Xianming and sprinting away. "Trying to flee?" Xuanfaping sneered. "Annihilation thunder." He laughed coldly as both a sword and a saber magic tool materialized. The blades met, unleashing a terrifying column of thunderous light straight towards them. The effort drained Xuanfaping considerably, his complexion turning stark white. Seeing this, Li Xianming did not hesitate. He slapped Lu Zhenxiong's chest, hurling him towards the thunderous column while using the recoil to increase his own distance, fleeing into the distance. Li Xuanming's face bore no trace of pity. He had survived the destruction of the infinite sect, escaping encirclement by countless righteous cultivators, a feat he had performed not infrequently. As a demonic cultivator, he embraced ruthlessness. To him, the lives of others meant nothing if his own survival was at stake. Even Lu Zhenxiong, his fellow sect junior brother, was nothing more than a pawn to be sacrificed when necessary. Lu Zhenxiong had not anticipated that his self-sacrificial attempt to save Li Xianming would result in being explosively thrown aside and used as a human shield against Xuanfaping's attack. His eyes dimmed, void of any curses or angry roars, he simply yearned for rest. Boom! The column of thunder swallowed him whole. His robes shattered, his flesh charred, and his bones melted. When the thunderous assault finally dissipated, only a charred corpse remained smashed upon the earth. Xuanfaping furrowed his brow, surprised by Li Xuanming's decisive action to forsake his junior brother to escape. He stamped the ground forcefully and vaulted over the scorched remains, continuing his pursuit. Escape, escape, escape. That was the only thought left in Li Xuanming's mind as the wind howled past his ears. The distant sounds of battle from the main front line reached him. If he could just make it back there, where countless cultivators witnessed the fray, Xuanfaping would have to consider his status and reputation, likely staying his hand. Just need to get there. Li Xianming could already see the low-quality spells clashing ahead, the battlefield of the qi-refining cultivators. But at that moment, a horrific ghostly wail pierced the air, and a black chain, serpent-like, suddenly appeared. In an instant, it ensnared and immobilized Li Xianming completely. Thud. Unable to stop his forward momentum, Li Xianming crashed violently into the mud and blood-soaked ground. As he struggled to his feet, he found himself facing someone, Chu Xuan. Chu Xuan's eyes were filled with cold. After repelling Han Luyun, he swiftly moved to this sector of the battlefield. Although he was strong enough to potentially kill Xuanfaping, the effort would be immense, possibly leaving him severely wounded. Thus, he had remained hidden, waiting for an opportune moment to strike during one of Xuanfaping's vulnerabilities. He had witnessed the entire scene. Lu Zhenxiong had sacrificed himself to save Li Xianming, only to be used as a human shield. Chu Xuan was not one to sacrifice himself for others, he always prioritized his own interests. Yet, he remembered the tiger soul talisman Lu Zhenxiong had once given him, a rare act of kindness in this brutal and cold world of cultivation. Junior brother, I can explain. Better I live alone than we both die, so Li Xianming hastily began to explain. Chu Xuan shook his head, if you can betray senior brother Lu, one day you will betray me too. What use then is there in keeping you alive? With a swift motion, he clenched his hand. The evil soul chain tightened violently. This story has been unlawfully obtained without the author's consent. Report any appearances on Amazon. Crack. Li Xuanming's head was twisted off abruptly, his handsome face still marked by a mixture of shock and unwillingness. He had not expected that Chu Xuan would grant him no time to even finish his sentence before ending his life. Casually, Chu Xuan collected Li Xuanming's corpse into the corpse-nurturing tower, then turned his attention to Duan Feiping, who was slowly approaching. Duan Feiping, a tall, thin cultivator dressed in blue robes, was not handsome. His stern face was enough to deter countless cultivators. "You're still alive, Han Luyun really is useless," Duan Feiping sneered. Chu Xuan responded calmly, "Thinking Han Luyun is useless just shows you're not much better." Duan Feiping made a flicking motion, and countless thunder-wrapped beams of light surged towards Chu Xuan. He spoke no idle words, his every move was an attack meant to kill. Yet, Chu Xuan did not use the evil escape to dodge. Instead, he stomped the ground, aggressively closing the distance between himself and Duan Feiping. Bang! 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 The beams hadn't yet hit Chu Xuan when they were blocked by the mystic iron shield. The sound of metal clashing rang out. Duan Feiping smirked coldly. Many thought he specialized in long-range thunder magic, but he also practiced close combat. Those cultivators who recklessly tried to close in on him often met grimmer fates. As Chu Xuan closed to within 30 feet of Duan Feiping, the latter swiftly changed his spell, clenching his fist to summon a massive axe wreathed in thunder into his palm. He bellowed angrily, swinging the axe directly at Chu Xuan's head. In that moment, Chu Xuan roared back, his claw reaching fiercely toward Duan Feiping's body, while the evil soul chain wrapped around his throat. "You won't block?" Seeking death. Duan Feiping held the axe with both hands, nearly striking Chu Xuan's head. However, in that instant, layers of golden light rose above Chu Xuan's head, and ethereal chants filled the air. Suddenly, behind his head, a multicolored halo of rich mist appeared. The halo emanated tremendous force, forming a protective aura around his body. Moreover, atop Chu Xuan's head, a small bell sounded with a resonant clang, adding to the formidable defenses now shielding him. The force of meritorious power around Chu Xuan exploded with even greater intensity, forming a massive golden bell inverted around him, protecting him flawlessly. This dual defense was the manifestation of the Golden Dragon Temple's body-protecting Golden Will Decree combined with the top-grade magic tool, the Merit Bell. Clang! The thunderous axe struck these layered defenses, not only failing to penetrate them but also being violently repelled. The hefty blade of the axe bore a significant notch as a result, nearly slipping from Duan Feiping's grasp. Merit! Such formidable merit? How can this be? Isn't he a demonic cultivator? Duan Feiping's eyes nearly bulged out of their sockets, his usually stern face almost losing composure in shock. At that moment, Chu Xuan's counterattack arrived. The evil demon claw, fueled by evil chi, immediately grasped Duan Feiping's body. The evil soul chain, controlled by Huikong, precisely targeted Duan Feiping's throat. Duan Feiping's top-tier defensive magic tool barely managed to hold under the dual assault, cracks spreading across it, signaling it wouldn't last much longer. Duan Feiping struggled to raise his hand, attempting to cast a defensive spell. However, Long had already materialized behind him, opening its gaping maw. The roar of a corpse puppet resounded as if a demon's whisper exploded right by his ear, causing Duan Feiping's thoughts to stall, his mind going blank. By the time he regained his senses, Chu Xuan's palm had already struck his chest. Boom! The terrifying corpse-refining blood fire instantly erupted, engulfing him on the spot. Duan Feiping's agonized screams echoed through the flames, along with a few strained words, "I have a top-tier, magic tool, don't kill me." Regret flooded his heart. He had underestimated Chu Xuan, and before he could utilize any of his own trump cards, he had been trapped in this dire situation. "Foolish, by killing you, your possessions also become mine," Chu Xuan sneered. The fire burned even fiercer. Within moments, Duan Feiping was reduced to a charred body, falling unconscious from the pain. However, Chu Xuan did not let him die. Instead, he had Long and Hu bind him tightly and stand guard beside him. See the nellfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xuan vividly remembered that Duan Faping possessed an ultimate-grade thunder spiritual root, and as a demonic cultivator, he knew techniques to transplant such spiritual roots for his own use.